One, and we are live. Painkiller already, episode 215.
That's right. We are proud to once again have our favorite sponsor back, Crunchyroll.com. So if you want 1 month of free access to their incredible library of anime, just go to crunchyroll.com/PKA. We've tested the product ourselves, and we've actually enjoyed it. We still have to schedule our third session, though, and finish up... what is it we're watching? I don't even remember anymore. Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan, yeah. Hey,
I want to see where they're going with those fucking mech suits.
Crunchyroll is our favorite sponsor. It's not Dollar Shave Club or random YouTube channel.
Well, like, I like that Dollar Shave Club allows me to shave my balls more closely than any man ever should, but I've really enjoyed the fellowship that we've enjoyed together.
Yeah. Keep digging yourself out of this. Keep going.
Watching Japanese cartoons together.
So when
Crunchyroll.com,
his go-to move is to get really gay.
Shows this month. Do you want to hear about the featured shows?
Oh, well, do I?
Oh, boy.
So there's Concali, of course.
Uh-huh.
The Testament of Sister New Devil, Cute High Earth Defense Club, Love, Military, and Saikano.
What was the third one again?
Cute High Earth Defense Club, Love.
And the one before that?
That one together.
The Testament of Sister New Devil.
All right, I was writing them down.
Okay.
Check out.
Okay. Also, How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend. I believe that's Saikano, How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend. We should check that out.
These titles are really interesting.
Thank you.
Like, I am quite curious about them.
They're very intriguing. I don't know if they're drawing me in, but they are very like, what the hell is that about?
You know what would be fun?
Yeah.
I have a great idea. Here's what we should do. Instead of trying to devour an entire series, I think it would be fun to have a stream where maybe we watched an episode of each of these things, each of these featured shows, because honestly, I want to know what they're all about, but I don't think I'm going to watch every episode of each of them.
We could go halfway too, where every stream, you know how on a stream we tend to watch 3 or 4 shows?
Mm-hmm.
We could do that, but every stream be a different show. And just get
That'd be difficult to stick, like, keeping your head straight.
I don't care what's going on in the show.
Characters doing similar things.
I think it would be more fun to make fun of these shows than to actually try to enjoy all of them, because I just don't think I'm going to enjoy Saikano, How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend.
That one interests me.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to.
How would you raise a boring girlfriend, Woody?
How would I raise a boring girlfriend? Shucks, I guess I'd get her doing yard work, and I'd make sure she doesn't experience worldly things, and I know what I'd do. I'd put her on Tumblr
that sounds like a
all
pretty
the time.
ideal girlfriend.
I'd put her on Tumblr constantly until she became a goddamn social justice warrior who constantly talked about how Legos don't market appropriately to girls or something, and she'd be boring as fuck. That's what I'd do. Presto.
So that's Crunchyroll.com/PKA, and keep in mind, Crunchyroll is an app that you can enjoy on almost any application, any app, any service really, whether it's Xbox One, PlayStation 4, your tablet, your phone, whatever. You can use this service, and I really think we should do a night. I think we should look at this more like Mystery Science Theater 3000 style. I think it would be fun to watch like one episode from each of these things and compare, because they're all so ridiculous. Military, Bleach, like, I feel like that's either poor translation or the show is literally insane, and I want to find out which is which.
A sub tweeted me and said that we should be talking about the Xbox One app, because for him anyway, it was a huge selling point of Crunchyroll. So anyway, if that's your preferred way to consume content, they've got an Xbox One app. It's supposed to be good.
Yeah, and there's a Roku app even. I've seen it on my Roku device. There's little ads every now and then, and they're so everything.
I've got a Roku. And I have a Crunchyroll app. I just watch it on PC though.
I'm a big fan of the Roku, and I feel like a dumbass because I only recently found out that the reason that thing has a strap on it is because it doubles as a Wii remote for the Roku device. So there are actually like there are games and stuff, and it's motion tracking.
Dude, I love the strap.
I had no idea.
Because what happens is I'll have so the Roku remote is the one that I actually want like 80% of the time. But it's sitting in a pile of remotes for like my ceiling fan, an air conditioner because this room is boiling all the time. The TV, right? The TV I just turn it on and off. That's pretty much all that remote is for. But the one with the strap, it's so easy to find. Like I can blindly reach into a pile of remotes, and I come up with the Roku one.
I used to make jokes about that. I would always like make a joke about the Roku strap on the remote. I'd be like, "This is for when you're a real fucking couch potato. When you're just like laid back, conscious. You've got the things. You wake up from a drunken stupor. Your MASH has been going on for 93 episodes, and you just want to get to the 94th, but it's asking you for the 8th time tonight if you really want to continue. There's no way you can find that remote. But wait, it's strapped to your fucking arm, and you're back in business.
I'm worse than that, right? Because I'm like a bed potato, so I'm just like flapping around, trying to reach all these remotes, and then you grab it, and then it reminds you, like,
Kyle,
are you sure you shouldn't go outside and do something with your life?
Watching thing. Do you guys ever feel judged by the "Do you want to keep watching? Are you sure you want to continue?"
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I'm sure. Just because I've watched for 9 hours doesn't give you a reason to judge me, Netflix. Let me be.
I take it as a personal challenge. I'm like, yeah, I'm watching all of The Office today. I have sat through some serious marathons because every now and then a series will either become available to watch, or I'll have discovered it newly, or it's one of those series that I watch repeatedly, and it's been 2 years since I've been through the library, and so I'm just going to do it again. I've been doing that with The Shield lately. I just watched every episode of The Shield, and there's 7 seasons and like 12 or 13 episodes a season, and they're 40 minutes long. So I just watched a shitload of The Shield.
Jesus Christ. It's a lot of a show that I've never seen or heard good things about.
Many a time it asked me if I wanted to continue, and many times I said yes.
You forged ahead.
I forged ahead.
Are we ready for a new topic?
Yes. What do you got?
I was thinking Gold Glove and the chargebacks.
Tell me more.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, so here's the deal.
Sounds like a band.
Yeah, Gold Glove and the chargebacks.
Gold Glove and the chargebacks. I dig them. Yeah, they'd probably be on my playlist. So here's the deal. A chargeback is when you call your credit card company and say it wasn't really you who made the charge. And at WoodyCraft, we become experts in dealing with this shit. Our chargebacks, on a related note, have gone way, way down since the whole drama of me wanting to sue a kid. Because, because everyone knew that we'd pursue it and not just roll over and let it happen. And 2, we've become experts at like tracking you and proving that it was actually you who did it. So people aren't really successfully charging back at WoodyCraft and change things. Anyway, this kid donated, I think, $1,000. At least that's what Gold Glove said it was $1,000. And let me get the quote right, because people are fussing at him for this. I don't want to get it wrong. Someone just charged back over $1,000 in donations. Literally want to smack this kid in the mouth. Then he said, "What's worse is it's someone who pressed me to be on the top donators list." So I'm not an expert on this top donators list thing, but I'm guessing that he has like a sort of a Hall of Fame type deal, for people who donate a ton. And live streamers, it's kind of their primary form of income. The donations, they keep rolling in. And Gold Glove, by the way, if you don't know, is one of the world's biggest live streamers. Like, if you haven't been paying attention, like, there was a time where, like, he was a YouTuber and a YouTuber and a YouTuber, and he was doing well, but he was never really, like, crushing it on YouTube. He was kind of just, like, really working hard at it. And in the last year or so, he started really crushing it, both on YouTube and especially on live stream. And this guy donated thousands, becomes sort of a little, internet celebrity, high roller. And now he's told his credit card company that it wasn't really him who made the charges and tried to get all the money back. So,
interesting.
Yeah, and it kind of stinks as a seller, for every charge, there's also a $20 fee. So, sometimes, these things, they roll in like $15 at a time, but to you, they're coming out $35 at a time, because every one is another $20 fee that goes with it. And now they're all making a big deal out of Gold Glove, saying he literally wants to smack a kid in the mouth. But Gold Glove, if you're watching this, I support you in your kid smacking mouthiness.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone would backpedal. I don't know why he would backpedal from that. You should want to smack them. I would want them smacked. There's no way I'd backpedal from that. I'd be like, yeah, Yeah, of course you do. He stole from me. He tricked me. It reminds me of like.
People are hating on him for saying he wanted to smack him. I don't understand unless they're
He's getting
taking that
some
old
fussing
school approach of like, oh, well, it's just for fun anyway. You know, it's not a real job. Which at this point, I think that ship has sailed. Like people recognize it as a real job.
You would hope
In which
so.
case, they would only be like, oh, well, so many other people are donating. Why don't you just, be thankful for what you have? It's like,
That's what
well,
they
yeah,
would tell me a lot. Like,
That's
oh,
annoying.
Woody, you've got money. It's okay to steal from you. And I hate to make this about me. It's really about Gold Glove. In my case, I provided a product. Like, these people were
Woody
playing
sued
for months and months and months.
Gold Glove needs your lawyer because Woody sued that one kid so hard he committed suicide.
What
Killed him.
actually
He did.
let me tell
At
what
Woody's
happened.
hands.
I've always wanted to sort of tell the follow-up to that because I never sued him.
died?
What happened was we provided enough proof to his credit card company that the kid was committing credit card fraud, and his credit card company gave us the money. And that's how it all ended. There was never any court. There was never
That
anything.
wasn't good enough for Woody. So Woody
Okay,
hired,
what next?
Woody hired a few tough guys. They went up there, go back up to New Jersey where this kid lives, and they
One
broke
guy with a
all of
pipe,
his,
one guy with a
they
chain.
broke all of his fingers twice on each finger, so he couldn't fucking type anymore. And then they pulled all of his teeth out with pliers, because that's what Woody wanted.
It's true. He told us before the show.
Yeah, that's all fair stuff. No, but what really happened was we got his money, and dude, that guy had played like every day for months and months and months. He used his product. This guy just gave money for nothing. Like he gave a donation, like out of I guess kindness of his heart,
made a
and
bracelet out of
then he
his
took
teeth.
it all back. But it's rough because you leave people in a trail of debt. Like I'm sure Goldgo's not in debt. He's doing well, but I don't know. You commit this, they think it's something that you did, and then you just undo it.
So it was just someone donating to him, or it was someone paying for his stream? What was it?
Typically, what it goes like this: like when you donate during the stream, maybe like a sentence, like it'll pop up on your screen and say, "Merca Durka popped up," and "Gold Glove, I'm your biggest fan." And then Gold Glove will notice it and say, "Oh, Merca, thank you for your donation of $15. I really appreciate that." And then he'll go back to it, and pretty much people, pay a few bucks just to get noticed, and maybe they feel a certain debt even for all the entertainment that they're getting, and like, hey, here, I like you. Here's $10, and that stuff adds up into,
Sounds a little bit like being a stripper.
It does.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Thank you, little boy 69, for your 80 cents. Stick in the stream, and we'll have some more fun for you coming up.
I have no idea how much money Gold Glove's making, but let's just put an arbitrary, easy math figure on it.
$1 million.
Let's say it's $1 million a day. Now
job.
imagine if he had his dick in his hand. Just imagine how much more money he would be making.
Yeah.
Like,
Gold Glove, you think Twitch TV is good? Chatterbait's where the money is, baby.
yeah, if you could monetize that, like, I feel like that monetizes so much better.
Dude, if Gold Glove were on Chatterbait, I'd have to check it out. I want to know if the tiny penis thing is true.
What is Chatterbait?
Well, you've heard of Chat Roulette, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was like 5 years ago.
I think it's a similar concept, except that it's pretty much people masturbating, and you donate.
Oh, so there's no pretense this time. It's the same site without the pretend that you're gonna. Well, I wonder if I can hook up with somebody in Italy. Talk to them about culture. Like, just
There is a guy on YouTube. I hope he wouldn't mind me. Like, in my head, I'm like, he doesn't mind me saying this. First of all, it's history. Second, it's really well documented. It's like saying, you might not know, but Hitler, he did this war thing. Like, yeah, everyone knows about that.
Chatterbait, the only thing that seems unique about Chatterbait to me is that they come right out and like have like part of Masturbate in the name of it, but there are many sites where like they're like streaming sites where like people go on there and they're, everybody's naked and they're streaming, and there are groups of people watching them be naked and do stuff, and then maybe they're having sex or masturbating.
Were
or
you
just,
trying to guide us off the topic of the YouTuber that went there?
Maybe.
Okay,
He was trying.
I'll follow
I
your
know
lead.
if I were him, I'd just be like, let it die.
All right. I won't even mention his name, but there was a guy who was kind of well known in the Call of Duty scene who went to Chatterbait and did. We had him on the show, and it was like you could see part of it was the income, you know. He wasn't rolling in dough or anything, and it was useful. But a big part of it was the ego boost that he got out of it. It made him feel good. He suddenly became one of the most successful guy, and as a guy, he was as successful as many of the top girls. And I saw him, and he was fit. Just saying.
Yeah, we watched him masturbate. Just for the record, I saw that.
Yeah.
Woody brought it to me, and we watched the boy masturbate together, and then we decided whether or not it was actually him or not.
No, we
and
were wrong.
Decided that it wasn't. We were wrong. We were like, that's not him. That's not him.
Yeah.
Just we were wrong.
I remember seeing a still image of this video, but I don't know the guy's name. But it was that same dude who did YouTube, who was just masturbating on the side.
It was.
Good for him.
On the YouTube dude, I had only seen very small pictures of him. And in the little pictures, he looked like a beanpole, like Beaker from the Muppets. And then on Chatterbait, with his shirt off and his cock out, I suppose, he was like, that guy's pretty buff. You know, that's... Maybe I should start
had muscles,
working out.
Maybe I should join him, huh?
It's like, fucker, to be 20-something again. And I was like, that's just not him. And then, like, oh, and by the way, his look was really kind of generic. Like he had like a crew cup, sort of high top, whatever. I think in the video Kyle and I did together, he's like, dude, I got like 3 friends who are cops. All of them look like that guy.
Yeah.
You know, it was just sort of a generic military guy type thing.
White dude, you know, like he just looked like every white dude you've ever seen who's got a crew cut and like has you know, he's clean shaven. He just looked like everybody. He's got light hair. You couldn't tell.
You heard it here first. All white
good?
dudes look the same. And
yeah,
we
all
thought
the same.
I thought it wasn't him because on Chatterbait he was clearly very fit. And in the little pictures I had seen, like he was on my Skype list, so I had like a tiny little icon of him and stuff. You know, I thought they were different people. He looked so like skinny, like he needed to lift weights in the tiny picture.
Oh, I was thinking that this was a little homoerotic, and then I remembered that Skype conversation that Chiz and I had. Did you catch our conversation about who's the guy who we just watched the movie Gone Girl? Who's the guy
Affleck?
in that? Ben Affleck. Did you see that? Did you see his dick in the movie? Did you catch that scene?
Well, no, but do you have a screenshot?
No.
Oh, I remember.
my
We
God.
saw it just barely.
Okay, so here was the text conversation between me and Chiz. Chiz just links me to a push, and it's a close-up of Affleck's cock. And when we watched the film, I noticed that you could see his dick, and I didn't say anything because it was it's kind of a thriller, like mystery thing, like it's high tension. There's no time to be silly about his dick. Like, okay, his dick's there. All right, leave it alone. Chiz sends me a close-up, zoomed-in push of Affleck's cock, and so that I can like see the way it contours over his balls and shit. And I'm just like, what is it? And it's accompanied by a text message. It's something like, I caught this on my 3rd viewing. Thought you guys would want to see. And I was like, I don't know which one of us is more gay because I caught it on my 1st viewing, but I didn't make a push of it and send it to 2 other guys.
Yeah, see, that makes that makes him gay because he made a push of it and then sent it to other men. Like, hey, validate my opinions of this other man's genital. Like,
And it was,
that makes you attentive.
Yeah, you know, I noticed it, and I just
Put me
thought
down
nothing of
for
it.
gayest because I'm going through my Skype history looking for a picture of his cock, and I can't find it. Shit.
It's probably back like a week, maybe
wait.
more.
When did he get
this is
naked
gonna
in
be
that
it.
movie?
There was a shower scene.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
I shouldn't say anything. I'm just gonna.
I gotta say, Affleck's looking in shape
that I
here.
wasn't paying attention.
I'm definitely looking at Ben Affleck's penis right now.
I don't know why.
Because I mean, everyone, dude, if you're watching this, right? Don't you wish you like? Aren't you kind of curious what we're talking about?
It's shall we? It's fine. I would say it's larger than average. He is circumcised. Seems to be trimmed quite closely.
And I took it a little bit like I saw it and thought, whatevs. But then I was looking at the rest of him. He's fit. He seemed to have pretty much a flat tummy.
He's getting in Batman
he's got good
shape.
pecs. Yeah, he was getting in Batman shape during that movie.
What's the coloration of the penis like?
Well, I'll pull it back up.
It's flesh colored.
Kyle?
You know, it's pretty standard tones.
Did you say flesh colored? Are you serious?
Yeah, flesh colored. Yeah. It's not too dark, not too light.
I'll give you a link.
No, I don't want to look at it. I just wanted to get
too late.
him to be.
And
you want to look at it? Shut up. You know you do. You do. Everyone here watching is like, all right, I'll take a look. You know what? Everyone, if you're secretly like wondering about this picture we're talking about, I'm marking you down for 15% gay. Don't be okay. It's a spectrum.
Yeah. So
I would say it's a pretty penis to use a Wings of Redemption thing.
There's a filter that every movie uses now. It's either like a bluish color or an orangish color in every scene of every movie that's made now. And this one happens to be blue, so it's got kind of a Smurf cock going on too. But I saw it, didn't think anything of it, wasn't going to bring it to anyone's attention because it was a moment of like deep reflection for his character. There was no time to go dong. Like it was a good movie.
We should have made time.
But then if you think they're making a movie like that and they want you to be reflecting on a certain theme or something, don't you think they know, like, all right, maybe forego a cock right now because people are going to be thinking dong, just like Kyle was saying.
You know, I don't know.
Take some responsibility. Get that cock out of that frame. Wait a minute.
I'm not sure what the thought process was for leaving the cock in. Like in that Nymphomaniac movie that's on Netflix, like, there's penetration and cum shots and that shit. Like,
what is it called? I need to look at it.
Nymphomaniac. There's 2 parts. It's 6 hours long.
Ew.
Also,
that's like a Gone Girl and a half.
9 songs is pretty much a porn on Netflix. There's full penetration and like close-up oral scenes and stuff, if I remember right.
Is it under the auspice of something else?
Well,
is it not flying its true flag of porn?
It really is more than just porn. Like there's a plot and there's like, you see porn actresses act and they just seem like
really bad at it.
They've never had a lesson. No, these were like real, what I would have to assume are trained actors and actresses in a high production movie, and they were just willing to fuck, I guess. It was
interesting.
Well, I'll have to check that out.
A lot of the Game of Thrones actresses are porn stars.
Yeah, Shay was. Tyrion's mistress.
I gotta say, I am already on disc 6, I think. Yeah, I'm on disc like 6 of the first book, and there are a total of, I think, 28 discs. So I'm making progress, and I really like it. It's great, especially because I watched the show first, obviously. So I've kind of got that as a structure to kind of for my imagination to paint its tapestry of wonder on. When they mention a character, I don't have to use my imagination to know what that character looks like. I already know exactly what he looks like. So when they describe him to a T, it's all the better. I like it a lot.
So you're on disc 6 of the first book?
Yes.
You're doing an audiobook?
Yes.
Okay.
The cool part about that is the reader is doing voices for each character, and I guess he actually.
Oh, is it the old fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
The really old guy. He's the guy in season 2 in the penultimate episode of the Battle of Blackwater Bay. He's the guy, the old fuck who made all the wildfire. That old man who he advises against it. Like he's that old guy.
That's funny if that's true. I read a little bit on the back of the audio disc packet, and I saw a picture of him, and I saw that he had won. He had the Guinness World Record for most voices in an audiobook, and it was, on this audiobook because he does a voice for every fucking character in Game of Thrones, and there are dozens.
Oh, so many. What's his Roy Dotrice.
It's normal to do voices in an audiobook. Have you guys, like every audiobook I've read had voices in it.
I think
It's normal,
his are-
but he did a good job with it. It wasn't over the top distracting for the most part.
I
Where
feel like they're more
sometimes
generic normally.
Yeah.
Like normally they're more generic, but with this guy, they seem like he's totally doing the same voice for those characters throughout the whole thing. Like it's not just his old man voice, it's that specific old man voice because he's the old man with the green beard who fucking was the captain of the galley that brought Catelyn to King's Landing. Like that guy has a specific pirate-like accent that he never had done before, and I like it. I'm digging it a lot, and the story's so much better when you've got all the little details and the characters.
What's happening where you're at right now?
Peter Littlefinger just has called Catelyn to his room because she just has arrived in King's Landing to warn Eddard about the attempt on Bran's life. She's got the dagger, and in the book, she grabbed that dagger when that guy was trying to kill Bran, and she held on to it and cut her hand. In the show, they just cut her hands, and it was like no big deal, because it's TV. But like in the book, like she can't use these two fingers anymore. They don't move. And the rest of them are all kind of like not dexterous anymore. Like she has a hard time.
Her hand was like almost cut in half in the books.
Yeah, it was cut almost to the bone. And so like she can't use them very well. I'm digging this a lot. I listen to it in the car constantly when I'm in the car, and I've brought it inside and just put it in my sound system and listen to it on the couch. I'm digging it.
You like it so much, I want to get it. And I've been driving a lot. Like today is a random day. I probably drove 2.5 hours. Like I'd make real progress.
You could have it downloaded tonight.
Yeah, I could put it on my phone and it syncs with my radio and does a thing.
You really should, and just see how you like it, because you'll know right away because you'll see.
At least I listened to a couple of the books in the audiobook form, and after you get like just a few chapters in, you're just so enthralled and into it. Like no matter what you're doing, playing video games, driving, in the shower, I was just listening to it nonstop to that old man narrating my life.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It really is. And he adds so much. Like I love the show, I really do. And when every show ends after it's 50 minutes or 52 minutes or whatever it is, I'm like, shit. I wish there were another 52 minutes, like just to flesh out everything I just watched.
Yeah, I get sad.
There are. Yeah, in the books there are. Like in the books, each little moment is expanded upon by, it's 3 or 4 pages a moment. It seems like everything is, like the whole scene where Arya and the Butcher's Boy are having a stick fight, and Sansa and Joffrey come upon them, and Joffrey gets out with his sword, and there's the whole confrontation. Like that's fleshed out so much better, and you're left hating Joffrey so much more and liking Sansa and hating Sansa.
Hard to hate Joffrey much more.
Oh no,
you hate him more in the books because he does even more fucked up shit.
Yeah, he's worse in the books, and even worse, he's so in the show. Joffrey isn't much to look at. I don't find. He's not like Jaime Lannister's a great looking guy. Joffrey's kind of a toad. He's a little shit. He's not ugly, but he's certainly not a handsome young man.
I think he's a handsome young man. I think you're maybe somewhat influenced by his personality.
In the book, he's taller than any of the other kids. He's 12. Rob is 15, and yet he's still taller than Rob. Maybe Rob's 14. Rob's 14. But he's still taller than Rob, and he's got like these golden curls of hair, and he sings with a high, pure voice, like as he rides along on his horse. And he's pretty good with a sword. He's the one that's had more sword training because like he uses a real sword, not a wooden sword like the Starks. Like he's more.
He's got the real Valyrian steel.
Yeah, no, not in the book.
He's captain of the football team of Game of Thrones.
In the book, he gets it eventually.
Yeah, he gets it eventually.
He's the guy who dates the prom queen.
In the show,
he's a stud.
In the show, he's good at anything. He's really just a scumbag, and if he weren't a prince, you wouldn't think much of him. But in the book, he's got some talents. Like he's got some he's good at some stuff, and that makes him even easier to hate.
Which is probably the right way to go about it, because you always wondered, like, why did Sansa like this guy in the first place? He was a little shit from day one. But in the book, I can kind of, like, from what you're telling me, like, oh, yeah. You know, I can see why a girl might go for him and
Oh, and he's
even
feigning,
overlook a flaw or two.
He's pulling the dentist system on him totally, dude. He's like he's coming in. There's a scene where Sansa goes to the Queen's wheelhouse and she sees Ilan Payne for the first time, the King's headsman, and he scares her so much that she backs away and starts crying, and she backs right into the Hound, who also scares her. So she like falls to her knees crying, and Joffrey's like runs into her rescue. He's like, "Get away from her! You're scaring her! Like, get out of here! You Hound, just leave! Get out of here! Come here, my lady! Are they bothering you?" Like he's legitimately comes to her rescue.
Demonstrating his value. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. We should segue into that. Have you seen the new episode of Sunny?
I have.
No. I watched the first one of this season. I think the other one came out last night, right?
I watched it today. It was better than the first one. It was better than the first one.
Really?
The dentist system
don't ruin it.
Okay, all right.
I like the first one more.
No, you can say. I don't really give a shit. I'm not overly concerned.
The dentist system plays a major role, and but I felt like it was a little repetitive. Like it was just the same. It was almost like a Saturday Night Live episode, but 30 minutes long. They just like, oh my god, the same joke again and again and again. Like, you know, oh, this thing bothers me.
You didn't like it.
I didn't hate it. I make it sound like I hated it, but yeah.
What about the whole thing where Charlie, Frank, and Mac had come up with, like, you know, the system where anytime they said something wrong, Frank blew the whistle until they were actually good at dating. Like Charlie was like, "I got like 40 cats," and Frank's like, blows the whistle, and then you see like a cut. He's like, "I got like 8 cats that live in my sink." He's like, and shows like another scene. He's like, "I don't have any cats, but I really like them." Frank's like, "Yeah." The dates keep going better and better. They've got a whole list of things they're not allowed to say on their group dates, and they're on this marker board. AIDS is written in big letters. Also, creatine shits. Can't talk about that. And Mac's like, no. Creatine is a mass building product, and by telling them that I have the creatine shits, they know that I don't just know about the product, I use it.
See, it's kind of funny when you're saying it, but as I was watching it, like that big list of like 90 things they weren't allowed to talk about, and by the end I'm just like, oh, I get it. Your cats, your poop, AIDS, like, you know, like everyone was just painstakingly like an SNL skit where they have a 5 seconds worth of joke and they do a 5-minute skit on just repeating it.
Dennis was falling apart meanwhile. I liked that. I thought that was funny. Dee was becoming a super whore. That was funny to me as well. I liked the episode. I thought it was the best one I'd seen in a while. I liked it a lot.
I like Dee as the super whore.
And that was funny. She thought that she was...
And she kept bagging these like great guys. And then she'd like dump them. Like, what? You're like, whatever, a pedophile, a pediatric neurologist? Yeah.
There's a huge difference there. You're a pedophile or
she goes,
pediatric
what are you,
neurologist?
a chiropractor? You chiropractors? I'm a spinal surgeon? Yeah, whatever. Let's get out of here. Let's bang. She's filthy. I read on Reddit, and maybe I've mentioned this before, but it was the theory that the only characters who were presented as they truly were Frank and Charlie, and that all the other characters we were seeing a delusional self-image projected upon us, because it doesn't make sense that Dennis would have to go through the dentist system to get laid, because seemingly he is a pretty good-looking guy, right? Like he is good-looking. He shouldn't have to be, you know, tricking women and swindling women and drugging them left and right. He should be able to just get a girl. Right. And Mac is really obsessed with his looks and wanting to be big and muscular. And Mac is pretty big and good-looking and muscular. Like it's clear that he works out. Like he's not some giant muscular man, but like he's in good shape. And Dee is always having to fuck these toad-looking men. Literally, there was a toad person in that last episode. When Danny DeVito saw that toad man, he had such disgust in his eyes. It was that really cracks me up, that Danny DeVito looked down upon this guy that she had fucked. But Dee is actually great looking. You know, you've seen her, I'm sure, in a bikini. Like she's got like a ripped body, and she's great looking.
It's one of the funnier skits to me that like through all 9 seasons, they all act like she's completely repulsive and no guy would ever want to be with Dee. And it's like, do I have low standards? Because I would hit that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I think
that's
like,
the
they're
idea.
always like, oh, you're just an undateable ostrich girl or whatever the hell they say, and she's really not. She's not bad.
Yeah.
Very thin.
And
Keeps
we've
herself in
seen
shape. She's
them
had
use-
kids, so that's a good sign.
And we've seen them use the device of like an unreliable source before in the episode about who got Dee pregnant, where as they think back upon the events, like Dee is literally like an ostrich or something at one point. So I think that's a pretty possible theory that maybe at some point they reveal like what the characters really look like, and Dee is like 5 foot nothing and like super chubby and just disgusting. Like they're all just disgusting looking, and like that what we've been looking at are just, you know.
I want to circle back to Taylor. Why was it a good sign that she had kids before? Is her fertility some kind of green light? Like
No, I meant like that she had kids in real life. I don't think in the show she's had kids. Or no, she had her surrogate kid, I think, in the show. But I was saying like, oh, she had a kid and she got back down to skinny. That's a good sign. That's all I meant by it. Not, yeah, I don't want to be with a chick who's had kids. Not that there's anything wrong with that when you get older, but at my age now, it's just kind of limiting.
All right, but when you evaluate women as genetic material, you say the one who's gone back down to her fighting weight after a kid, that's a notch in her column, a feather in her cap.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would say
A
so,
feather
yeah.
in her cap.
It says something about her genetically and about her, you know, her willpower, what's important to her. She's
Her
not
determination.
Like I feel like you know, there's plenty of stereotypes about men, but one of them that's probably true about women is like there are a lot of women who get married, have one kid, and they're like, I'm done. I don't need to be hot anymore. I'm not going to be a...
And they just become disgusting.
This is me now.
Jackie's weight just melted off. I think it was that she breastfed, and that stuff is fatty. She pretty much just pumped all her body fat out of her boobs.
I don't think that's how it works at all.
No, that's how it works.
She got fat when she was pregnant too. Like I don't talk about it much, but I think she gained like
Lower your voice.
I think she gained like 40-something pounds when she had a kid. 46 pounds or something.
Wow.
And that's a significant weight.
Were you worried when she was like, you know, she's like, you know, maybe a week before she, you know, the day before she gave birth? Were you worried that your wife was never going to look the same again?
Oh yeah, day before, like 3 weeks after. I'm like, yeah, you're still going, right? Right? Like you're. You know, I appreciate the improvement I can see, but this isn't the final product right now. Like,
This is stage 4 of 10, honey. You're doing great. So were you in the room waiting for Hope to be born? In the birthing chamber?
Yeah, so both the kids were
The Meister does it.
Yeah.
The Meister.
both the kids were C-section because they were breech, and so like let's see, I was there as they put this like what is the name of the? It's like they put medicine in her spine to make her not have pain anymore. Epidural, yeah, that's what I'm going for. So I was there as they did the epidural, and then I kind of leave, and then when I come back, when they're ready to like retrieve the baby from her belly, and dude, like the first time in particular, I don't think of myself as being bad with like blood or like medical situations and stuff, but it's kind of
when they reached inside of your wife's stomach and pulled your child out like one of those chest bursters from the movie Alien, it was a bit much. Is that what you're gonna say?
It started. No, dude. Like it will forever be burned in my head. They didn't use a scalpel, I think, or something. They used like a burning laser to get in, and the smell of
like
burnt.
Skywalker when he cut open that tauntaun for warmth.
Exactly like that.
I will never forget the smell of burnt flesh. Like you walk in the room and it's like, holy shit. like they burned her open or something, and like it smells bad in here, not like poo or something, just burnt human, like they
Like hair.
cooked her, and she's laying there all chill, right, a little like dazed, kind of happy, and you know, I go in and they're like, all right, we're ready to get her, and of course they all talk about how the kid's ugly and looks like an alien and everything. I still wasn't prepared for just how ugly my daughter would be. And she looks better now. But
She comes out looking at that thing from what's the Schwarzenegger movie where he Total Recall. Do you remember Total Recall when like that guy opens his jacket up and that symbiotic life form is in there and it's all like nah, and it's fucking giving a message to Schwarzenegger. That's what it looks like.
so then
So, Woody, when you saw your child first, was it like being honest, 100% honest with yourself? Was it just unabashed love just from the first touch, or was there a little bit of like, oh Jesus, like, is this
No.
going to get better quickly, or what's?
Yeah, oh god. So there was all this buildup with regards to the love thing, right? Like we went to Lamaze classes and stuff, and we were learning that there was going to have to be a C-section because of the breech, and we're in Lamaze classes. Like, what are we doing? This is such a like fucking. Like, I'm just going through the motions. There's no chance we're doing any of this breathing shit. But they were like, oh, you see the baby and you instantly love the baby. Like, you instantly have this great bond or whatever. Me, I got that bond like a year and a half later. Like a year and a half later. It wasn't like that at all.
That's old timey. That's because you're so
Yeah,
old.
the kid
That's
had to
all it
grow on
is.
you for a bit.
I've heard that before. You know, in the old days, they wouldn't even name a kid until it was like 2, because you don't know if they're
Yeah,
gonna
why
make
wait
it
for
or
the
not.
name? Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, like the baby came out and all I saw was like responsibility. I was like, all right, so now I got this to handle. You know, like that was my take.
You're like, oh, hey there, little one. You look so expensive. Is that what-
Yeah.
And oh, I've told this so many times, so forgive the repeat story, but I had a fear. Okay, for starters, every baby looked the same to me. Every baby to me, you know, they bring them by the office and look at our new kid or whatever, and it'd be like, yeah, it's a baby. They're freaking identical, every one of them. And I had this great fear that mine was going to get like swapped at the hospital. And me, having some sort of baby blindness, would have no idea that that wasn't my kid. Like, if you wanted to swap babies on me, I just would have no clue because they all looked the same. I'd never really given a shit about any baby, and they looked identical. So, so when I got mine, like, I first saw her, Hope was 9 pounds, 9 ounces, and she had a full head of, like, carrot top, spiky red hair. And she was the only one like her. Like, you know that room with all the babies and all the little cribs at the hospital? You could, it's like, all right, that one right there is the one I got. Because she was gigantic and she had like crazy red carrot hair. But yeah, and like, I remember, like, you know, the thing's 2 months old or something, the thing, right? She's 2 months old. And, you know, Jackie's just loving her up or whatever and getting all these cuddles. Me, it was just like, oh, fuck. And, but it was, like, for me, it's somewhere around, like, maybe it was a year-ish. I said a year and a half. I mean, I exaggerated. At about a year, she was, like, getting a personality and Hope did everything fast. Like, she walked ahead of schedule. She talked ahead of schedule. At 1 year old, she was singing the alphabet. Which is, you know, much quicker than normal. And I wasn't a competitive parent. I know I talked to Kyle about this before. I wasn't a competitive parent, but I also wouldn't like lose. Like, you know, so you say how old was a kid when they walked, and it's like a spectrum, you know. Is a kid who stands on their own walking? What about a kid who does what they call couch surfing, right? Where they sort of like hold on to something and walk alongside of it. Or they go from like the couch to the coffee table and make their way around on their feet. But the real primary form of like locomotion is crawling. Like that'll be a stage. And my wife had this friend, Tina, and her boy was Chase. And Tina was real competitive, which wasn't really a problem because undeniably her son lost at everything next to Hope. Like, so it was like, yeah, be competitive all you want. I don't give a shit. And but Hope was like in that walking spectrum. You know, she could couch surf or something, or maybe even take a couple steps on her own before she dropped to crawling and really went somewhere. And then Tina comes along, and dude, the way she said it, like, oh, my son is walking now. And that was the fucking day I decided that Hope walked too. Like, all right, so does my daughter. Fuck it. Because she walked better than Chase. I just wasn't making a big deal about it. And,
yeah. Chase's mom being a stuck-up bitch. Oh, my son can walk. I'm proud of him. Woody stopped that.
You take Chase down a notch.
Yeah, I did smack him around when no one was looking.
Yeah.
But
shake him real good.
Take out his legs. Just
you're not walking anymore, little man.
Yeah, break his ankles.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the story. She was big and red haired and everything was fast.
You want to talk about Tom Brady?
Sure. NFL's favorite controversy.
So, do you know the specifics?
I don't know the
now
specifics.
I'm questioning them.
I need to be caught up.
Okay, so I guess I should be exact about this. I know that, like, post game after the Patriots won the championship the other night, like the vast majority of their footballs were underinflated. So they're accusing Tom Brady of using these underinflated footballs to gain some sort of advantage, and they found some quote from him from many years ago where he said he did indeed prefer an underinflated ball.
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
For our non-American viewers, Tom Brady is the quarterback of an American football team, the Patriots, and they deflated a couple balls under the idea that it made it slightly easier to catch them. And the Patriots just beat the Colts by some ridiculous score. Does anyone know the score? Was it like 38-7 or something?
I don't know the score. I didn't watch the game. I know that 11 out of the 12 balls were underinflated.
All right, I'm going to look up the score real quick. Because to me, it's critical. Like, if they're going to make a big deal out of the underinflated balls, it's noteworthy that they freaking ran it. I'm trying to find this.
Is it, though?
I think. Only because, like, if they had won by a field goal or something and Tom Brady had some unfair advantage, then that would be a thing. But since they won, like, since they blew him out, I
don't
feel
know.
like... Okay.
I don't know. I don't like cheating at all.
It was 45-7.
That's a real blowout. But
Yeah.
but I'm still saying, like, if he did indeed purposefully have these balls, underinflated to gain some kind of advantage out there should be some kind of a punishment for that. Like, and I saw his press conference today. I was at the Olive Garden, had a lovely lunch, and I was looking at the big screen TV there, and they had the captions on, so I was watching this whole thing. And it was about 10 minutes into it when I realized I wasn't watching ESPN. I was watching fucking CNN breaking news. And it was Tom Brady. It was Tom Brady with, like, this ridiculous, like, ski hat on, answering to these allegations. And it sounded like he was being cross-examined by the fucking assistant DA of fucking Los Angeles County or something. Like,
What's
they were
Brady's
picking his
position?
shit apart.
Does he just keep saying, I had no idea?
Oh, no, he's it depended what the question was. The questions were biting. They were, like, what do you say to critics who say that, we've seen issues like this from the Patriots before? How can they trust you now? Referring back to when it was found that they were recording other teams' practice sessions and using that inside information to play against them. Just lots of really rough questions. There was one thing where they quoted him from years past where he said something along the lines of, I like my ball at about 12.5 psi or something like that, or underinflated, and you made some joke about telling one of his buddies to spike the ball because a little air comes out when you do that, and it looked bad. And they asked him, they were like, because he explained that there was this pre-game ritual where he inspected the balls and he picked the ones that he preferred because as he said, some quarterbacks liked them old, some liked them new, some liked them more rounded, some liked them more like squished in the middle, some wanted them sticky and tacky, and some wanted them clean and new, and it just really depended on the quarterback. So he would pick out the game balls that he wanted. It could be anywhere from like 12 to 24, and those would be the balls that were waiting for him. And they were like, one of the guys was like, do you expect us to believe that you didn't notice that this ball was 15% deflated, when a Major League Baseball player can pick up a bat and know if it's an ounce or 2 ounces too heavy or too light. An NBA player can tell you if the rim is 6 inches too high or too low, but you can't tell us, but playing all game with this football, that there's something wrong with it. How do we believe that? And he's just like, well, I don't like to get into other people's belief systems, I don't want to tell anybody what they should believe or what, I'm not getting into all that. But then I'm just
it's pretty well handled.
What the fuck are you? Is Bill Clinton playing QB for the Patriots? Like, what is this shit?
So he just started stringing them along in just a sentence of nonsense of like, well, I'm not trying to trample on anyone, and frankly, I'm not a person myself to tell people what they should believe. As a matter of fact, and then just like go off on his own thing, basically.
He said something. He made a comment about ISIS. He was like, hey, come on now. It's not like we're ISIS or something. People aren't dying here. It's like
we're ISIS or something.
Yeah, he really fell apart toward the end.
Move.
Apparently, there's a transcript somewhere, but he struggled at times, and then at times he looked like he knew what he was doing, or like maybe he'd been briefed well. But I'll say this: at the beginning of the press conference, I totally believed him. And by the time I was paying for my meal, I was like, he totally did something with those fucking balls, or he knows who did.
This is what he should have done. Can you cue up this video with me?
Yeah.
He should have gone meow on it. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Ready, set, play.
Thanks, Mike. Down here with Ray Canisto. Ray, a couple weeks ago, you and I talked about this team needing to start a little bit quicker. Looks like you guys did that here today.
Yeah, right now we came out, hit a few guys quickly there. We got to get in the corners now and maybe pass the puck a couple more times down the neutral zone there, Mel.
You're up 1-0 early. This team's leading in the North Division. You guys need to make up ground on them. What you got to do the rest of the way?
Right now, our focus is on banking as many points, Mel. But right now, we're doing a pretty good job. Coming out and getting the first goal.
Thanks a lot, Ray. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, Mel.
Mike.
That's great. That's great. For anyone who doesn't know, that is a Super Troopers reference in which the state troopers play a game where they pull people over and try to sneak in as many meows as possible without raising any suspicions.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that's great.
You have to feel like such a dunce if you're the reporter standing there like, come on, I'm interviewing you. You're on a minor league hockey team. I know what's happening. The reporter should have just up and like, oh, yeah, I see. So you're down in the first. Meow, 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 meow. Put it on him.
If he started meowing back, that would have been great.
I like funny little doesn't hurt anybody pranks like that. Nobody had to run up and punch him in the face and steal his wallet and then say pranked like
Dude,
2 seconds after.
Does anyone think the NFL is loving this? Like, the NFL had issues with where, like, one of their players kills 3 people over the course of a couple of years, right? They have this issue where, like, another one of the players is beating their child until he's bloody and injured. Another one of their players is beating their wife in an elevator. Apparently, they had seen the films and covered up the films, and then they had to cover up the fact that they covered it up, and there's this big issue. They held an investigation with the same company that helped them negotiate like TV deals. Like they're not in the loop on this thing. And now that there's an underinflated ball controversy, they're happy to talk about it. Not a problem, Like it's their dream controversy. At least it's about winning.
Maybe so. It's been pretty rough as of late. Their PR guys have been having a hard time.
Yeah. At least Tom Brady didn't kill anyone, or rape anyone, or beat his wife, or.
It's even worse. Kill the dreams of all those Colts players.
This may actually be a bigger sin in sports, though. That if he's actually cheating, that really rubs a lot of people the wrong way. They start talking about asterisks and all kind of shit. They want to get the PSI on some of your balls out of the trophy room.
Yeah.
And test
they want to
those
tarnish your legacy for it.
Yeah.
Like McGuire.
To me, this feels like, I don't want to say acceptable cheating, but like, there's always a little cheating, right? Like, if you're in MMA, sometimes your finger gets inside that other guy's glove and holds it for a split second. Sometimes you grab the kit. What'd you say?
Or
Or his
butthole.
butthole. Who knows?
Yeah, right. Or check his oil. Sometimes when you're trying to get taken down, you grab the fence for just a split second to give you like a little bit of an edge. Like if he was barely going to take you down, it would be enough to hold it up. You know, there are things that happen. If you're in baseball, those guys cheat constantly, right? Like they've always did. Like you know, what do you use to keep your hair like looking like that? Oh, a combination of like ridiculous amounts of suntan lotion, crazy glue, and Vaseline in my hair. It's just a product, whatever. You know, the pine tar and shit is not supposed to be.
Reaching back and getting something out of their hair and getting it on that ball. And,
Yeah, that's like a thing that people do all the time in baseball, and it's like acceptable cheating, right? There's a certain thing that happens in there. I wish I could come. Oh, in hockey, right? Like you can clutch and grab, but like a limited amount of clutching and grabbing. You know, like a little tug and then you let go, and that's all you can get away with. It's illegal, but it's part of the game. Goalies and their equipment, you know, like now it's more tightly regulated, but these guys used to come in there like the Stay Puft Marshmallow. Gar Snow, you have shoulder pads, right? But then he would have like risers that made his shoulder pads up with like his temples. They were like little walls that he put on top of his. Let me see if I can find a picture.
I don't know, man. This is the game ball. This is changing the game ball by 15%. Like it's spongier, it's easier to catch. Like a lot of the catch.
Is the other team using this ball?
No, these are only Tom Brady's balls.
Oh, so Tom Brady gets the special balls. Yeah,
exactly.
That is a big deal. But is it? I'd have to hold. I don't know enough about football to know how much of a difference.
I don't either.
That
But
amount of
the thing
deflating
is, like you know, it'd be like if you found out McGuire had a corked bat. You're like, well, how long has he been using that corked bat? Like has that always been what he's done? Like, did he play his entire career with a cork bat, getting 20 extra feet on everything he ever hit? Like, now what do you think of him?
Yeah, that's true.
It's hard to say. I don't know, but I will say I don't think the interview went well for Tom Brady today. The press conference, I guess I should say, because he shouldn't have been out there by himself either. He needed like a fucking lawyer or like a representative. He needed fucking who's the coach of the Patriots? That guy who never talks. And is it Bill Belichick?
Yeah.
He needed somebody like that out there with him. He was all by his lonesome out there, and there was a full room of the press, and they were relentless. They were all over his ass.
Do you have a preference on who won that game, or you just thought it was shenanigans?
Oh no, I don't. No, I don't care. I actually like to see people like win multiple championships. So I hope Brady wins the Super Bowl, but that interview, that press conference didn't go well for him.
Here's a goalie whose pad slips out of his jersey, and it's some sort of like pointed up thing. You can tell it's clearly designed to do nothing but take extra vertical volume, like deflect pucks.
Yeah.
Henrik Lundqvist?
Yeah.
The fuck is that?
There's a
fun.
bunch of examples of goalies having illegal pads, players having illegally curved sticks. I feel like a illegally deflated ball is right in there with minor little offenses where players try to get tiny little edges.
See, I want to agree with you on that. It's just
They asked Tom
I just
Brady
don't
what
know
he
how
thought.
big of a difference it is. But if Tom Brady was in the past saying like, "Oh yeah, I preferred it like exactly this amount of air," and then it just so happens that 11 of 12 are at that exact amount of air, then that seems like more than a little infraction, because that guy's kind of. It's not like one guy having a curved stick in the NHL where that guy could very well get fucked up and just not create a play. This is giving a distinct advantage to the playmaker at the beginning of every play, you know? So it is more advantageous,
They
I would
asked
think.
him, but like they were like, would this, if this were true, if someone did this on purpose, would it be? What would you think? And he was like, oh yeah, it'd be very serious. It would, it would affect the integrity of the game. And I was
Well,
like,
what else is he gonna say? Like, I think he
I
should
don't
be.
know. He shouldn't be answering that question. He shouldn't be out there.
Super Bowl 37. Brad Johnson paid $7,500 to have 100 game balls doctored. Who the hell did Brad Johnson play for? Super Bowl 37?
Well, but doctored in what way? That doesn't suggest that he did anything illegal to the balls. That they do doctor them. They squish them and rub them with stuff, and that's all okay.
But he paid to have them doctored, so you would think it's
Well, there's a guy who's
nefarious.
paid to do that. To pay. There's a guy that's paid to do all these guys' balls.
The implication in there to me was that the $7,500 to doctor the balls was not above board.
That's pretty expensive.
Yeah, Kyle, it's about the implication.
I just feel like the NFL is loving this. They have a heel, a team that everyone wants to root against, is drumming up interest. We're here talking about the NFL, and we wouldn't be if it was just simply a drubbing. I feel like they love that this is happening right here.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could be.
And in terms of like infractions, it's much ado about nothing. It is a tiny little thing to have 15% less air in a ball. I could give a shit. Yeah.
What if the puck were 15% smaller?
Someone would notice.
But only when your team was on offense.
That'd be... I don't even know. That'd be hard.
What if in sporting clays, there's more than one size of sporting clay to shoot. There's minis and middies, and some of them are literally like this big, like the size of a silver dollar. And when those motherfuckers come out of there, they're so hard to lock your eyes on and hit. And I'm just saying, if he's got a 15% difference in the ball when he's operating on it, that could be a lot when you're talking about the guy. This guy's the best at the world at throwing footballs, and you're going to give him some super special footballs just the way he likes them? I don't know.
It just feels to me like...
He certainly was on his A game that day. I don't think anyone can argue with that.
Yeah, I want it to be a big deal because I want the Patriots to not win again.
If the Patriots had won 10-7 and a field goal at the end had done it, no, I wouldn't give a shit. But the Patriots stomped them in the championship game, so it's just like, what happened?
They should have switched to the regular balls 30 points in. Make it a little less
I think
obvious.
somebody's keeping an eye on these fucking balls. There were so many questions about those balls. Who was looking at them? And Brady was like, I don't know. That's not my responsibility. He's like, I guess a equipment manager or something. Like, I don't know.
Dude, what's fun is this. 2 weeks ago, they were doing something. Now, this is legal, but it's not common practice. What were they doing? They were putting receivers on the field, like extra ones. They're swapping out linemen with receivers and then declaring the receiver to be an ineligible receiver, so he was doing the role of a lineman. But when it came to covering them, they weren't sure which receivers were eligible to catch a pass and which ones weren't, and it was tricking them up. And they were doing it right on the fly, like, all right, Bobby out, Joey in, ready, go! And the defense didn't have a chance to get their assignments and deal with it properly. And the coach of the other team, I forget who it was furious, right? Because they'd never seen this before, whatever. And he's like, well, we can do that. Next week, we're going to have something else. And then next week was the deflated balls. So, fun. But I like it. Fuck it. I don't know. Maybe I feel like I'm a cheater here, but it's like, this is like within, to me, the realm of like normal sports.
Little HGH.
Sneakery.
Some softer balls. Maybe you inject some of the defensive players the day before. Paralyze a few nerves. Maybe you happen to do something to the guy's dog. Maybe he's up all night taking care of his dog the night before the big game.
In MMA,
maybe you pull a Walter White, poison his kid. Do whatever you got to do. Right?
True.
Get this, MMA. So there's this guy, BJ Penn, and at the time, BJ Penn was a monster. He had defeated Matt Hughes, who was like champion of the world, and then he just like left the UFC and he came back, and he was a major threat to take down Georges St. Pierre. And BJ Penn was like he had the best ground game in the world, right? He was this black belt, and he was really, really good. So what Georges St. Pierre did is he bathed himself in like oil. Right, like he stayed in it. They call it Vaseline, but I think he was covered with oil, and he might have used some Vaseline too. But it was the oil that was the big deal. So you couldn't wipe it off him. It was coming out of his sweat. It had soaked into his pores, and they're like telling BJ Penn is like, what the fuck? Like I'm the greatest submission artist in the world, and this guy's slippery as fuck. And they couldn't do anything about. They're like the refs are like toweling him down, and he's just sweating more oil out of his pores, and he won.
What did they do eventually? He won.
He won.
They gave him a belt. That's what they did. He stayed. He held on to his championship, and
Even though you couldn't hold on to him. I remember that. Yeah, they kept talking about how the
Grease-gate, that's
oil
what
or
they
the
call it.
Vaseline or whatever it was, like you said, soaks into your pores, and it doesn't matter if you wipe it off because as soon as he sweats, it's just pushing more out.
Yeah,
And he was shiny. He
I've
was
done that with
glistening.
suntan lotion before, where like I sweat so much, like you can see it come out again, and yeah, he was just so slippery that BJ Penn couldn't use his strongest attribute against him, or his biggest
I
strength.
thought that.
See, that's kind of cheating too, but
Yeah.
it's more of a sneakery cheating than a direct influence on
to me-
the match by messing with equipment or something.
That was a much bigger deal than a deflated ball to me. Although it's hard to to really compare.
If your gloves
like
were
people would do that
15%
more often.
lighter, you wouldn't like it.
What's that?
If the other guy had 15% lighter gloves, you wouldn't like it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But
That'd be no good.
yeah.
Wouldn't that be good though? Because you want more mass,
It's faster.
so you want heavier gloves, right?
No, you
Just a
want
little heavier.
the gloves they're wearing.
I don't know. When I said I wouldn't like it, I was like, there'd be less padding, right? Like for example, if pretending we were equal skill, if I had 4-ounce gloves and you had 14-ounce gloves, I'm gonna crush you, right?
I was
'Cause-
Well, yeah, that's a
16 gloves.
huge
Yeah.
difference.
So when he said the gloves were lighter, I was like, does that mean that they're less padded, that they hit even harder? But
I was
talking
thinking
to
like
Joe,
you got 16-ounce gloves, and I've got 15% lighter gloves.
yeah, whatever that is, right? Probably 14-ish. When I was talking to Joe, though, he was like, you don't need any lighter gloves. Like at that point, it's just to protect your knuckles. That's it. And what do? Like this is, I think, hopefully I can say it, but they take the gloves and they like smush them around so that the padding goes right where they want it. Like I think he puts the padding right on his knuckles so he's less likely to get hurt.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mike
But-
Tyson always talked about like pushing his knuckles like into the material until like you could feel the knuckle through the glove.
Yeah, those boxing gloves, he goes the other way. Did we talk about John Jones being the coke addict and stuff?
Yeah, we did. We haven't talked about doing the Cumia show though.
Oh, go on.
We did the Cumia show. We went on and
New topic?
I think we did it
Just
about
kidding.
you motherfucker. Yeah, we went on the Cumia show the other day. The crew here and Dr. Chiz himself. We went on there for like I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that. I thought that was pretty fun.
It was
I don't
really
know if
cool.
it's-
Yeah, he
I
was
don't know if
really
it's,
excited about your guns.
yeah,
Because he
seems
lives
to
in
really
the
like guns.
People's Republic of New York, where you can't get anything.
Should get him down here sometime. Let him shoot some real guns. He seems like a nice guy. I enjoy doing the show. I enjoy going on there. That was fun.
Yeah, that was neat.
Yeah.
Is there a way? I think people can check it out, the audio version for free, right? But not the video.
I believe you are correct. I think he uploads.
I think it's on
the whole
iTunes.
thing is. Yeah, I think the whole thing is is on iTunes, and then he uploads a different show at the end of the week. Like I think on Fridays he uploads like the best hour of the week. So I doubt we'll be half of his best hour, but maybe we're in part of that in some way. But yeah, I think the whole thing is on iTunes.
Yeah, so check
that
that
was
out.
fun.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. And we don't deal with that many. I guess everyone's a professional that we deal with in one way or another, but he's somehow more professional than your average YouTuber. And it's neat that like he keeps the conversation going and he flows and he never seems to be like struggling for a topic. It's cool to watch him. I don't know.
Yeah. He just knows how to do it and when to flow and when to end. And yeah, I guess if you do radio that long, it makes sense.
Wings. I was talking to Wings the other day, and he was telling me that that Fallout 4 was going to be announced soon. Has anyone heard anything about that?
No.
No. How's Wings doing? You've been typing with him, right? Or texting
Tell
with
us
him?
what you've heard.
Without like giving out any of his personal information, I think he's doing better. He didn't seem too down about the whole Bastard Brook thing. He seemed pretty accepting of that. For those who don't know, Bastard Brook passed away. He wasn't in South Carolina when he died. He had come back down to Georgia, where I think his family is from, and he passed away down here. So Wings wasn't bummed out about that.
It seems sudden to me. Like he was in the hospital. Wings was worried that he was going to die. It was like this could be the end. And then he pulled out, and he was just like around the house. And in the videos anyway, he just seemed like the Bastard Brook that we knew for the last couple of years. Not exactly a picture of health, right? This is a guy with alcohol issues, I guess. But you know, still getting around and stuff. It wasn't like he had a walker or any obvious signs of like physical issues.
Feet were pretty freaking swollen. That wasn't looking good. But
Oh
that didn't seem to bother him too much. And he seemed pretty good on the whole, to be honest. We talked about a couple of video ideas for some stuff he's going to be doing soon. I had a couple suggestions, and he said he was going to do one of them. So I look forward to seeing his video. Can
you tease it?
The idea was him playing a game that we like and that he would like, and that but playing it basically it would be playing Fallout but handicapping yourself severely, like giving yourself a 0 intelligence, and every time he dies he has to do something physical, like some up downs or something. That would be fun. And then he edits together like the best hour of his play session after a couple of days, and he's got himself a bunch of nice videos. I thought it'd be nice to see him completely exhausted. And I told him he should destroy that fucking desk. He should do that too.
If Wings was a robot and I had the controller, I don't know exactly what I'd do with him. Right? Like,
I'd go smush some stuff
I'd
first.
send him back to Kyle's house. That'd be funny. Just show up at Kyle's front door.
I think that has more to do with you watching me than watching Wings, though. I think you just want to see what'll happen to Kyle.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
So everybody wants the best for Wings, right? And I feel like sending him to Kyle's house. I've had requests for me to like take care of him. They're just appealing to a higher power of somehow. I've also seen, I guess there's some WWE guy. Is it Dustin Powers or another one? The Rock is doing stuff, and everyone's like, let's get this guy to help Wings. Let's get that guy to help Wings. Woody will help Wings. Kyle will help Wings, etc. And they're just trying to figure out a way to help Wings. And appealing to a higher power, you know, but real life people, not God. And yeah, I don't know where to go from that, but
Wings is doing pretty well. He's from my last conversation with him, he was doing really well. Yeah,
that's cool.
Still working out with Drew, everything?
Oh, I don't know about his health and all that, but like, you know, as far as his general well-being and everything like that, he didn't seem to be as stressed out, and he seemed to be doing pretty well. But
yeah,
I mean,
he's been kind of oscillating back and forth on doing really well and like going berserk on Reddit.
What's his Reddit name? I want to look.
War God ICP or something. There may be some underscores though.
Yeah.
War God, Insane Clown Posse.
Intense Camping Productions.
Oh,
that's what I see.
God, I forgot about that.
Whenever anybody tries to like argue with me about Wings, I'm like, you realize I am the Wings of Redemption expert, right? Like, no one has seen more of his videos. No one knows him better than me. I am the Wings of Redemption expert.
Liaison from reality to Wings of Redemption.
Yes, you're 100% correct with that. Yeah.
It's War God YT, like War God YouTube.
Ah, good call.
And oh God. I'm just looking at his recent post. Someone's like, guest suggestion, Angry Joe, and here comes Wings. Angry Joe is terrible, and he's only popular because of production value. He's a bad gamer with bad gamer opinions. Why are you hating on Angry Joe? I don't understand. But
another video idea for him: take all these comments that are just meant to be good-spirited contributions, and then in a video of you just reading them, respond out loud what you were going to respond on Reddit. So just say mean things to these attempting to help people. I'd watch. That'd bring me back to his channel. I'd watch that series.
So everyone who says like, "Hey Wings, I have an idea. Why don't you go gluten free?" and then he can just like tear him a new ass for suggesting it.
He gets lots of suggestions. Exactly. Everybody seems to have an idea for how to fix his situation, but I don't think anything's going to change until he wants it to. He really wants it to change.
That's the interesting thing, right? So, like from the outside, a lot of people assume that the issue is related to some lack of knowledge, right? Like, you know, look at Wings or look at Boogie. Clearly, they don't know much about nutrition. Let me just help this guy. What you need to do is get on a diet like this or get on an exercise program like that. The truth is, Boogie and like to a huge extent, Boogie, who's been doing this for a while, and Wings now too, who's been hanging out with Drew, they understand what good food is and what bad food is. Like, that's no longer the issue. And, you know, they even are willing to put in some effort into the exercise. You know, I know Boogie's worked up a sweat many times doing his yoga, and I know Wings has worked up a sweat many, many times doing his exercises with Drew. It's just battling those cheat moments. And, you know, until they get a handle on that, then...
You know, I still have a hard time wrapping my head around it because, like, I love food so much. I've told you about my French fry extravaganzas, right?
Yeah, but what else are you eating?
You did.
Mostly just the
That's
French
it.
fries.
A lot of French fries.
A lot.
Gotta
So
experiment.
of French
Kyle will
fries.
be like...
I ate 5 pounds of French fries in the last 4 days.
You're
That's
gonna get fat.
disgusting, Kyle.
You're going to get fat.
Do you? I'm filled in math. Get out of here.
Is that all that
fast.
you've eaten?
No, I've been eating regular meals too. The French fries are like an experiment. So let me tell you about my French fry setup I got going on. I went and got myself a nice big deep fryer. I went and got some peanut oil because Kitty's out of town, and she's definitely allergic to peanuts. For those who don't know, so I went and got some really good premium russet potatoes. I washed them and I sliced them into like French fries that are about like McDonald's French fries because that's kind of what I'm going for, that texture. The first thing I do is I boil them in about 3 quarts of water with 4 tablespoons of vinegar and a bunch of salt. I boil them for 10 minutes. And oh, excuse me, let me take a step back. First, I soak them in ice water for an hour. Then I boil them for 10 minutes. Then I deep fry them at 375 degrees for 50 seconds. Then I take them out and, 360 degrees for 50 seconds. Then I take them out, change it to 375 degrees, and go 3.5 minutes more. And then I've got my special seasoning salt that I put on them. And I make the best French fries in the world now. It took me like 15 batches, but I figured out...
Did you
I
eat
really
the
had
first 14 batches?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've been getting better as I went. Like now, even the ice water solution I soak them in has like, I dissolve sugar water into it. There's something about the pectin
So it's
in the
evolved.
fry. Oh, yeah. Like I get all the starches out, and I end up with like this delicious, fluffy center and this crisp, crunchy outside that comes along things like the vinegar and the sugar.
Dude, I want to come down there and make the video. We'll shoot the potato with the potato gun through the grate into your secret batch, and then we'll cook them up, and we'll make the world's greatest potato gun-fired potato chips.
I like
fries.
the image of Kyle after his first batch, very excited. The fries are in the bowl, going downstairs, and then you sit there and take a bite, and you're like, oh, fuck, this just isn't that good. And then you have to go make another batch, full batch. Because, fuck yeah, this is FPS Rush's house. Another full batch of fries for yourself to eat alone.
It really has evolved. I'm going another step further because I've got one of those turkey
course.
fryers and propane burners, so I feel like I can keep the temperature more consistent. Because when you drop the fries in, the temperature lowers briefly. I feel like if I get out there with like 2 or 3 liters of oil on the propane cooker, I can keep it at a really consistent temperature. And I think that's my next step. But right now, I think everyone who's tried my fries agrees that I make I've even got this special seasoning salt I'm putting on there, like 12 different things in there. There's sugar in it. It's delicious. I'm making some really good fucking French fries over here. I call it the French fry extravaganza. I'm having one tonight. It's gonna be great.
Have you experimented with any kind of sauces that you've made, like unique sauces?
There was a horseradish mustard sauce that I tried for a while. There was some fancy sauce, which was just ketchup and mayonnaise and some sriracha. There was some spicy ketchup that has it tastes a lot like Tabasco sauce, but mostly it's just ketchup. I like ketchup a lot. I like Worcestershire sauce, like just kind of dipping them in that a bit. Maybe some vinegar. Yeah, there's lots of dipping sauces in the French fry
So
extravaganza.
you've had nothing but salt or starch for 4 days.
Really retaining water. I've noticed that.
Yeah.
He's putting on mass.
I've been sweating it out. So far so good. It's been a real adventure. I'm all out of potatoes right now, which kind of sucks. So I have to go out and get some potatoes. But
So
eventually,
you're really
I will
going to do that tonight after the show?
Probably so. Yeah. I
going to
really
be
have
like-
been perfecting this recipe.
It'll be
I
like
love looking
1
at. I
a.m.
love living through Kyle, seeing everything on the outside, looking in. Where it's gonna be 1 in the goddamn morning, close to when we're done here, and then he's gonna go to the store and buy potatoes to make more homemade French fries. Like, that's just feverishly working over his countertop at 2:30 in the morning.
Slicing them. I've got these really nice
dosage.
Japanese. I've got this like really nice Japanese steel knife, and I'm just carefully just like, shoo, shoo, like slicing these things super fucking thin, like
Super thin on your fries, huh?
I go back and forth. I usually like them like steak fries, like thick and kind of wider than they are thick. But lately I've been making them thinner and thinner, and I've found that with my new, I usually don't like that because they get really soggy. But now that I've perfected my method, they're just like McDonald's French fries. They are crunchy on the outside and they're like stiff, like they snap when you bend them. They're perfect.
Have you tried making chips yet? Just like potato chips?
Yeah, I'm gonna move to that. I think
Yeah,
soon.
work up to that.
It's fun.
Build to that.
Kyle's
Yeah.
developing like culinary skills here, right? Because I tell you, I talked to Kyle 4 months ago, and he's like, "Yeah, I think I'll go to deep fry a Snickers bar. See what the fuck that does. I'm gonna deep fry like a snowball, not the kind you make in the snow, but like the tasty cake thing.
The gross gas station food kind.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's just deep frying random stuff. What happens when you deep fry a Kit Kat? And
I got into bread puddings for a while as well. Like there was a time when I was making a bread pudding every
The old
day.
bread pudding from Kitty.
I can make the best fucking bread pudding you have ever had. There's so much cinnamon
A
and
low
apples
bar.
in that shit. I'm making that bread. I'm getting that bread stale the night before. It's all kinds of Italian bread and I'm whisking the eggs in the fucking. Oh, it's great. I can make a great bread pudding.
Huh.
So yeah, every now and then I get obsessed with like a dish, and I'll keep making it until I perfect it, and that'll be like.
I remember like 3 years ago you were in one of these phases, and you texted me so many pictures of sandwiches you had made. Just so many different, like, because they weren't regular sandwiches, but I'd just be doing something. I get a text from Kyle, and it'd be like a 9-inch tall sandwich, just 2 pieces of bread. He wasn't fucking around with the overcompensation of the bread in the middle.
Dagwood
and then
sandwich.
just meat and just like cereal on it with just nothing made sense with it. But
Yeah.
you're proud of
So-
yourself, and I was proud of you.
Yeah, I remember that specific sandwich. And do you remember the drink that went along with it?
I don't remember the drink.
It was the old school Pepsi with sugar. And
the
there was
throwback.
cereal in there. Yeah, there was cereal in there. That was along with some chips and stuff. But yeah, that sandwich had like wasabi, mayo in it, and all kinds of mustard and like 4 different meats. There was like that was a hell of a sandwich. Yeah, even that bread was special. I think I baked that bread. Like yeah, I got into sandwiches for a while. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a gigantic sandwich, like something you'd buy at a deli. But
Yeah.
I'm
I think
liking
chili-
food talk.
I think chili's going to be my next one. You ever see the cold open to The Office where Kevin comes in, he's talking about his chili. He's like, I'm up the night before roasting anchovy chilies. And he's just talking about this special chili that he's making. And he comes in the door with a whole pot of it, and he drops it and spills it everywhere. And he's panicked so much because it's the best thing he does. He's scooping it up with files back into the thing, trying to save it. Like I think chili's gonna be my next endeavor. Maybe.
You know, I want steak. In particular, like I want to get skilled at like outdoor steak cooking. I don't know.
So you need one of those.
Go on. I'll be quiet.
Okay, so the reason I haven't went to steak is because it's expensive to get good at steak. I think because the way I like my steak is so that it's seared on the outside, and I think I could be wrong about this. One of the few ways to do that is with that crazy expensive like fire brick oven that they have at like Morton's and places where it's like 800 degrees when they put that steak in there. Or I think they make those ceramic egg barbecues that get super hot. But I feel like that's a big part of making a perfect steak is having that searing heat on the outside so that you can have it. Your steak can be medium rare, but it can still be kind of charred on the outside and delicious.
I saw a YouTube video, and the guy cooked his on, I guess, hot embers. You know, he had a, and you know so here it is. I'm dreaming of doing the outside. Now, I'll mind you, we're doing a shop and we're doing the house, where the house is being renovated right now. So I'm trying to chill on all the house spending, but I dream of having a pool with one of those like masonry built in the wall grill things and maybe a fireplace and stuff like that. And when I think about the grill, I'm like, what do I want? Like a propane grill is so easy. You know, you just turn it on, you cook on it, and you make your thing. But I think when you do it right, you have some sort of like either coal grill or like a wood burning grill. Maybe I need two. Yeah, but I would love to be a guy like I want to be one of those guys that like throws a steak on, seasons it up, and has it come out like amazing.
Yeah, I saw
Steak,
the video.
a lot of it is just the cut of meat you're making. Like, you don't need a big, expensive, fancy thing if you're cooking filet. But if you're going to, like, make, I don't know, like flat iron or some shitty cut of steak into a stir fry, you kind of need something nicer, I suppose. But
Maybe
when
right.
I make steak, it's just salt, pepper, maybe a little bit of spices, and then just a couple seconds on each end on just a pan on the stove.
My wife has become perfect at making steak. Like I used to give her a hard time about it because it kind of sucked. And it's like I'd be like, I want a medium rare, and there's like no hint of pink left, and she's like, yo, you didn't eat it fast enough. Like, woman.
It's an ordeal to chew it when you're.
Yeah.
Oh, this is good, honey.
And by the
Yeah.
way,
Oh, it's in my teeth. It's gonna be there for a while.
it was a really expensive cut too of like filet, and it's like, man, why this is such a
He
waste.
just cooked the shit out of it. Just ruined it.
But now she nails it. And she'd always argue, like, well, the $3 thermometer said that this was perfect. I'm like, honey, look, throw away the thermometer, come up with a new plan, cut it. I don't know what to tell you, but week after week, it's coming out shitty. But it really was. But now she crushes it. So there's not really a lot of like purpose in me learning how to cook it. If I really wanted to come out well, I could just get her to do it. But nah, I would like to do that.
Yeah,
cooking's fun though.
I can do it a little bit. Like I know the basics of grilling, but I don't know anything special.
Fast forward 4 years, and Kyle's gonna have a huge like culinary repertoire.
It's all gonna be like shitty foods though. But what I was getting to with like
Yeah,
Just try anything.
I buy
what
your
I was
chef
getting at with that is I still don't understand how Wings like continues to gain weight at his current weight. It's like you gotta eat so shitty. Like I mean.
At that point, it has to be shitty food because you physically couldn't fit enough like fucking carrots in your mouth for how many calories it would take. Like
Dude,
you'd need
but-
a horse trough full of carrots.
I think I'm about to go on another little fitness kick here because you know it's summer's coming up. It's time to get back into shape. But like right now, I'm eating a lot of cereal and French fries, and it's delicious.
Kyle's always had good luck with this. Like you know, there will be like a period where Kyle might gain some weight, and then he's like, you know what? Time to be fit. And then he's succeeded at that. I've watched it for a couple of years now.
I'm pretty good at that. It's hard to keep it going till you get to that point where you're actually in shape and, you know, to keep it going for like 6 or 8 months or something like that. But as far as like a 6-week boot camp, we're like, we need to drop 15 pounds and get a little bit trimmer and more tone and fit back into those medium-sized shirts. I could totally do that. That's easy stuff.
That's easy because there's an end in sight because you've done a good job maintaining yourself your whole life, so you don't have to look out at like a 3-year odyssey of starving yourself to get back to, you know, average.
I don't typically pull this card, but I will say it's a little tougher over 40. Like that is a thing. It doesn't come.
I read a
off quite
Reddit
easy.
article that said it wasn't, but okay.
Really?
Yeah, they said the
Who
whole.
read it? That's usually reliable.
I read that the whole fast metabolism thing was almost never an actual thing. It was quite rare, and that it didn't slow down that much when you went from 25 to 35. That it was kind of negligible. That you're talking about like 200 or 300 calories or something.
So it's
a day.
just completely.
No, I've actually read that too.
Lifestyle changes. That's it. That's interesting. It could
sedentary
be.
lifestyle, like you know. I mean, when you're a young man, as I consider myself, you know, if you're 25 or 30, you know, if you've got a decent sex drive, it's like, I want to get some pussy. I gotta get in shape. And you know,
Interesting. What I will say is true, and this I wouldn't back down from. You heal a little slower. Like
there you go. That's the thing. I believe that.
You twist an ankle, and suddenly, like what at 17 would have been a 3-day ordeal, at 40 is a 2-week ordeal.
Yeah, I definitely would believe that. Probably so, yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you need that human growth hormone. Joe Rogan yourself up.
It's funny, I can't decide if Joe looks great or not great. Like is he around 50, Joe Rogan?
I think so.
I'll say this.
Maybe mid-40s.
Remember his co-star in News Radio
47.
who was the main guy in news radio? Was it something Foley or something like that?
Phil Hartman is what comes into my head. There's Phil
Well,
Hartman,
Phil
Joe
Hartman was
Rogan. The crazy guy, Andy Dick.
It was the young guy who was kind of the main character.
Oh, yeah.
He's a stand-up comic, and I recently saw his hour-long comedy act. Very funny, and he looks quite old. He looks like an older gentleman, and meanwhile, I don't know, Rogan looks like a fucking road warrior or something.
So, like, I watched a Rogan deal with a heckler, and she called him fat, right? And then he picks up his shirt, and he's got abs. But I can see why she called him fat, because he had that human growth hormone gut. Like, he has abs, but, like, all his intestines have swelled or whatever it is. I may be getting scientific when I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's a real common thing, that HGH gut. Let me see. Maybe
It's like his abs are, like, jutting
Layered
out.
on top of a gut.
Or his abs are, like, this thick, you know? Like, the thickest cut of meat ever. Like,
I didn't think that meant that you were using HGH.
I don't
I
know.
thought that was just
about-
how some people bulked up.
I always hear them talk about how their skulls will literally get larger, and they point to like Stallone's head looking bigger, and people like that their heads are just looking a little bit too big for their bodies these days.
That's where I was going to go next, actually. Like, if you look at Joe Rogan over time, let me see.
He's bald too, though. That probably makes it look more round, and looks like he's got a pretty broad face.
No,
He's starting to
dude.
look like Brainiac from.
If you look at Joe Rogan,
Maybe I need to look it up.
here, this is a picture of him, like old school Joe Rogan. This is probably after news radio, but, you know, older. And if you look at him now, this is from a few years ago. Like, he's definitely gotten, like, bigger and rounder in the head, which is an HGH symptom thing. And I'm not like, here's a better picture. This is young Joe Rogan. Now, look, a lot of people change as they age. You know, heck, I have. But the change that he's made is real, like, indicative of, here, look at those two pictures next to each other.
It's like, what do you mean, man? Between the time I was 25 and 45, my head grew a few hat sizes. What of it?
Does he look like
really
this?
big.
Yeah, I mean, like, I hear what you're saying,
really
and it
big.
even kind of makes sense. But this is the thing that happens to people when they take a lot of, you know, roids and HGH, which he has. Like, that's him saying it. He talks about it on his podcast and stuff like that. On the other hand, you know, if you take away those particular things, like Joe Rogan's got abs, you know, like,
Oh, he looks great. Yeah.
Here, let me give you this picture. This one's a couple years old, but oops, I didn't send it yet. This did I send that? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It's a few years old, but it's still roughly what he looks like now. That is Diesel, dude. Like, he's got
he's
a
in
little
really
more.
good shape.
He has more of a gut, but it's like his abs would look the same. They'd just be around some sort of like swollen insides. He looks great, but
Yeah, he looks like he'd be in the background in 300.
yeah, but he also, he doesn't look natural either. You know, it's just a variant of great, I guess. I don't know. It's
I'd be fine looking like that. Make my head even bigger.
Dude, I don't give a fuck.
yeah, I don't know.
How large would I have to make your head, Taylor, before it wouldn't be acceptable to have that body? Like, you get that body, that said, at what point but you have to have an enormous head.
It wouldn't be much. I don't have much wiggle room. Any more than like another 2 inches in circumference, and it would be distractingly large. So, like, look at that guy with the fucking head. Like, everywhere I went. So I need to find a balance between the guy with the head or that guy. Whoa, look how jacked that guy is. Kind of a big head, you know? And
Fair
one to
enough,
supersede the other correctly.
That makes sense.
How big could I make your head? You have a very slight elf-like head. You could probably spare a few.
It's it's deceptively large. You know, I feel like I've got some room back here. I feel like it's about it's a size head. I could take another size or two, I suppose.
Yeah, I could go up a few hat sizes if you were to buff me a touch. I could deal with that.
I feel like, you could go, it depends. I would go up one increment of head, and one increment of body. I could totally do that. Although these are made up numbers in my head now.
Right.
Or in my head, I'm like, yeah, one hat size plus 15 pounds of muscle. Sure, do it. Makes sense.
No, that's going to get out of control fast. Because then you're like, oh, just extrapolate that. I want another 75 pounds of muscle. Throw another 5 inches on my head.
Next thing
No
you know,
one will
I'm
notice.
massive and like this. Ah!
Yeah, you're wearing one of those like 5150 hats that has like 11 3/4 on the top.
What if I said I'm going to put a pound of fat on you for $1,000? Right? You'd probably have to be like, well, how many could I cope with? And you can lose it again, by the way. But if I was like, bam, Kyle, 25 pounds of fat, deal with it. You'd be like,
Here's my question. Is this a one-time offering, or can I come back later for some more fat?
It has to be a one-time offer, otherwise this is way too easy.
Am I going to have to deal with stretch marks, you think? Like, if I take 75...
I'm going to forgive you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I will take...
No loose skin or stretch marks?
Right. I didn't realize you guys were going to go so big on this.
I'll take 90 pounds.
90 pounds.
I'll drop it in 3 months. No problem. You give me 90.
Honestly, I was going to say 75, but now I'm thinking like another $15,000 to get from 75 to 90.
You pay me 30
then up
grand
to 100.
work out hard. I'll do that. Okay, you just eat right. You go on the Andy diet, fucking peanut butter and rice cakes and water, and you eke out every calorie you can for 90 days. You go so far as to I don't know. You're always working out. You're always doing cardio. You're trying to keep your heart rate elevated all day, every day. Just work out hard. By the time it was over, I would be in incredible shape after dropping 90 pounds in 30 days. For one thing, yeah, I totally take that. Then I'd take my 90 grand and go somewhere and I don't know, fuck some whores or something.
Well, you wouldn't lose 3 pounds a day, I don't think.
I could totally lose a pound a day.
No,
so you'd only lose
not
30 pounds a
sustainably.
month.
Not of fat.
Yep.
The fat is energy in there, just like anything else. So you're going to have to burn through all that energy. There's like 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. So you're going to have to be literally running constantly, which isn't going to be possible when you're carrying an 8-year-old worth of fat on you.
But what you're not considering is a 270-pound version of me has a much higher base metabolic rate. So I'm going to lose just by eating the way I am now. I'm going to start dropping weight immediately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
but not that fast.
When I add in 3 hours to cardio a day, I think it's gonna go pretty well.
That'd be awesome if you could offer that as a service. Like find some stay-at-home mom who needs to lose 35 pounds, and you're like, you know what? For 35 grand, I'll make that happen. Just I'll be exercising and eating right.
You know how we do it? We do it exactly like those child boot camps where they come and they kidnap the kid in the night. Like you sign the papers and 2 hours. We fucking kick the door. Come here, you little shit. Rip him out of the house.
See, but in that scenario, she still has to do it. I'm saying this is a supernatural situation where either you body swap or maybe she just comas in yours while you handle her and boot camp her with your effort and willpower.
Oh God! Oh, I wouldn't want to do that. I don't enjoy working out. I don't enjoy that shit. Like,
well, you get paid.
No, nobody likes
this
to
isn't
run.
a charity. You get $1 a pound.
I would rather
$1,000 a pound.
Oh,
but if you do it my way, you could actually do it without the magic. We could just go, find some fat ladies. Shouldn't be too hard, and get them.
No, it's not hard.
We work the dentist system on them, explain to them that I've got this boot camp where we promise results, and we'll get your child suing lawyer to draw up some paperwork for us that basically a contract, if you with us to my place, and sex will be it's kind of implied, but it won't be directly noted. Basically it's a weight loss thing where we kidnap them and hold them here and force them to do cardio. Or I do.
I think that's a good idea for a reality show. A lot of ways you could take that.
Yeah, it's basically kidnapping women.
So, you said 90 pounds, right? 90?
Yeah, I would take 90 pounds. I would take 90 pounds of fat.
That's a lot. I'm going to say 100 just because if you're going to do 90, why not go for the full 100, dude? Another 10,000 for an extra, 2 weeks at the... Or probably an extra 3 weeks to lose that 10.
Because I was thinking 3 months. 3 months was my thing, and I was thinking if I can wrap my head around 3 months of work to get rid of this, that'll be cool.
She'll lose a pound a day for 90 days. That's really ambitious, but
yeah. But $100,000. Think about it. And if you don't have stretch
$90,000.
marks or loose skin, there's no reason not to.
You guys are ambitious as hell. I would take at most 25. Any more than that,
No.
I'm afraid I'd keep it.
Because then you're gonna like get really successful through your 25. Because you're gonna be like, I'm gonna get back to it. I'm gonna be in just as good a shape, and then you're gonna get down to your normal weight, while me and Kyle are still fat fucks rolling in it. And you're gonna
And
be like,
we
"God
might
damn
be
it."
fat fucks for a week or two just to enjoy our choice. Maybe.
Oh, we'd spend some of the money on a nice cruise at first, just to be fat fucks all around the world.
I'd spend that fucking money on a round of liposuction immediately. Cut myself down a little.
Oh,
That's a thought
yeah, that
too.
would
You
be-
could gain 90. You get 90 grand, right? And then you just like for 15 grand, you'd have 40 pounds removed. Boom.
Yeah, maybe I'll take 200 pounds. Just
Oh.
cut it off. Yeah.
I don't. There's limits on how much you can lose in lipo,
I
right?
can take it.
I think so. I think you have to be
Yeah, it's
somewhere
like,
between like overweight and morbidly obese. I don't think they can do it to you if you're like super morbidly obese, right?
I don't
Well,
think
I
they
know
can.
that there's a pounds at a time kind of thing, like where
Yeah,
they can't
that
they
sounds-
can't go in and take a huge amount. Like they're limited to how much they can take at once, and it's not that big of a number.
Like, do you know? Like close, like maybe 10 pounds, 5 pounds.
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
That's
the
probably a
number
lot of fat. That doesn't sound like a lot, but I bet when you get 10 pounds of fat in a vial or whatever the hell they're using, it looks
Oh, let me show you.
like that
Yeah.
Fight Club soap.
Yeah, exactly like Fight Club. I watched that movie the other day. That's one of my favorites.
Do you just happen to have a pound of fat
Excellent.
in like reach distance?
I have a keyboard within reach distance.
Oh, okay. He's like, let me show you. I'm like, was this a Wings of Redemption boot camp motivational tool that he has
I know.
like 5 pounds of like ballistics gel and this like this is 5 pounds. This is this.
So that is, well, there's varying. I did the image search, but you can see
Oh, I clicked the
5 pounds of fat's a big deal.
Dude, that is huge.
Try it. Here it is.
There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
5 pounds of fat equals the weight of a brick.
That's funny that they would quantify the weight of 5 pounds instead of like the size of the fat or anything about it. Like, the 5 pound lump of fat weighs the same as a 5 pound brick. Standard bricks.
5 pounds of fat weighs as much as 5 pounds of feathers.
What weighs more? 5 pounds of fat or 5 pounds of feathers? I thought I was so smart in 3rd grade. I was posed that quandary and I saw through her ruse.
No, you know what one gets me? You know the one with the airplane and the conveyor belt? It's like, how can you freaking
I haven't heard that
idiot?
one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, this is old timey.
Yeah.
So the deal is this, right? Like, let's say the plane has to go 100 miles an hour to take off. And then they say, well, what if you put the plane on a conveyor belt that was like going 100 miles an hour? And then it just went, and it was basically like, I hope I'm getting this right, that the plane is stationary. Would it take off as it went 100 miles an hour over the conveyor belt? And it was like, quite obviously, no. It's about airflow over the airfoil, the wings. And, you know, it doesn't matter if the wheels spin at 200 miles an hour or if they don't spin at all with the conveyor belt, you know, at your back. It's about the air passing over the wings. And a lot of people will vehemently argue that it's not.
They don't know how
No, it's
this
about how
works.
fast it goes. It's gotta go fast.
Yeah. You know, like, I guess the conveyor belt is supposed to be going the opposite direction of the plane. And they're like, now the plane has to go so fast. And it's like, no, it's about airflow over the wings, whatever.
I just want to take this moment, take this little time out to mention our show's sponsor tonight, Crunchyroll, crunchyroll.com. If you would like a free month of their wonderful anime service, all you gotta do is go to crunchyroll.com/PKA, get a free month of this service. It's pretty cheap anyway. What is it, like $6 a month or $7?
I think it's $6.95.
So cheap, doesn't even matter.
It's
6,
so
7.
cheap, I've forgotten the price.
Yeah, exactly. It just gets sucked out of my account, and I don't even notice it. Just
But
like
there's an annotation on the side. There's a link in the description. You can click on those things. You can check out Crunchyroll. You can unsubscribe at any time. This, you know, it's month to month. It re-ups, much like Patreon does.
And I promise that at some point we're going to get together and watch some more anime because I really do enjoy it, and I like my idea of watching a few of those featured series like Bleach and Military and all the others. The How to Train the Boring Girlfriend, Saikano, How to Train a Boring Girlfriend. I want to see that too. They sound ridiculous and absurd, and I want to know more about them. So go sign up. It takes about a minute to do. No problem at all. Crunchyroll.com/PKA.
All right.
Did you watch the State of the Union?
I watched part of it, and then I read about it a ton. Sometimes after the State of the Union comes out, they do another version with all the clapping removed, and it's great. You can watch the State of the Union in like 15 minutes, whereas it takes hours with all the clapping and nonsense. So yeah. He took an interesting tack, and it's the whole thing. I find politics really interesting, and what the Republicans wanted him to do was like, all right, the Republicans now own the Senate and the House. I'm going to start like working with you, and the Americans have spoken, etc. And what Obama actually did is he's like, all right, I'll admit you won 2014 and 2012, but let's not forget, I won 2014 and 2010. But I won 2008 and 2012. I won the big ones. The fact that you get these low turnout midterm elections doesn't mean you are the will of the American people, because the will of the American people also spoke during the high turnout presidential elections, and they went Democrat. So, and as he proposed his policies, they were very much in line with Democratic values. And I'm having some people, and I feel like they think they're so smart, are like, none of these parties represent you. They're both the same. They're all the same, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, no. Like, it just... One party, like, goes straight out of the gate after some Keystone Pipeline, which is a gift to their lobbyists, right? One of the parties goes straight after the gate and says, we need to stop and preserve ISP monopolies like Comcast and Time Warner, right? We need to make sure that they never get any competition from municipalities, and then we need to make sure, like, they either wrote a bill or whatever it's in, what do they call the little groups that subcommittees, yeah, or committees. They're in committees making bills, trying to strip the FCC's power to declare the internet as a utility, which would give access to telephone poles so that other people could form ISPs. That's the reason Google isn't rolling out quicker, because they don't have access to the telephone poles. It's their number one problem. And it's like the Republicans are just like siding against people and for companies all the time. And to say that there's no difference at all, God, I guess I'm an Obama lover. Maybe my mom's right. And then he had some other proposals too. Like he wanted community colleges to be free, which is surprisingly affordable. And I think, man, like, could that transform a population? Imagine if, like, for free, you could go to college now. And some community colleges are offering 4-year degrees, which I think is interesting. So all of a sudden you have like a system where you can emerge, not so deep in debt. Like you go to community college for 2 years for free, and that could become the new standard. And then you just pay 2 years worth of expensive college. That could be a thing. Or if you want to go to community college and just like learn a skill, you can learn not only like, academic white collar skills there, but they teach you how to weld, they teach you woodworking, they teach you other like, employable job skills at community colleges. And he wants to take this and make it available to all Americans. I think that's really neat. His inheritance tax proposal had ideas I had never thought of. He wants to tax inheritances, but it doesn't start until it's some high number, like $5 million or $10 million. So everyone is like, man, it's going to suck. My dad dies and I don't get anything. No, dude, unless your dad has $10 million, you're fine. And even if he does, it only starts taxing the portion over $10 million. So if you're getting $12 million, he'll take like a third of the two, that's above 10. So he'll take like $700,000 from you, and you'll keep the other $11,300,000. You'll make it. It's going to be okay, dude. So, and then if it's inheriting a business, which is a big deal, right? Like, so let's say, for example, you inherit a farm, which on paper is worth a ton, right? That's very expensive land. You don't have to pay the taxes on that farm until you sell it, which can be never, right? That's one of the options you might go for. Or maybe it's some other business, right? Like, some baby little Nike competitor or something like that, your cobbler, I don't know. And So this business is making money and it has value, but even if the thing's worth like 15 million, that's the value of the business. You can't just sell the business or take a loan or whatever. So you don't pay taxes on businesses that are inherited or farms that are inherited unless you decide to sell them, at which point you owe inheritance tax. Like, that's a clever idea because it doesn't ruin anyone's business, but it still does this thing. Well, what we have now is a system designed to keep the rich so rich. I liken it to this. Imagine if we chose this year's Olympic team based on the top athletes of 1960, right? We just grab their kids. Bam. That's who's going to be leading our nation. All the young Rockefellers, all the little Kennedys, all the little whatever, whoever's super rich, Gates's kids, although I guess he's doing a big charity thing. Because your parents were successful, now you get to lead the nation. If we had a system that involved more wealth mobility, where it was easier for everybody to bring themselves up, then that would be good. And that's what free community colleges do. That's what inheritance taxes do. They make it so that the next generation kind of has to do it on their own. And I think that that's a really good thing. I liked a lot of his policies, but the challenge is I didn't hear him pitch anything that was possible with the Republicans owning the House and the Senate. It was total pie in the sky. This is the kind of thing that I would do had we won midterms. And I liked a lot of his ideas, but I just wasn't hearing anything that he's going to do. It was just stuff that he wishes he could do. So,
I thought he looked very cinnamony, like he had a lot of makeup on.
Everybody was. They're all talking about his one-liner now. The whole like, what'd he say? Oh, I'll never run for election again, or something similar to that. And all the Republicans started clapping. And he's like, yeah, I know, because I won the last two. And it was a good, like, gotcha line. Everyone loves the zingers. But, yeah.
I thought he's going gray. Big time.
He is going gray. That's capital gains taxes. So I've talked about that a ton. If people don't understand capital gains taxes, let me just lay it out there really quick. If you earn money through working, right? It doesn't matter if you're Kobe Bryant or if you're a heart surgeon or if you're a YouTuber or if you're a cobbler. That's ordinary income, and you pay a high tax rate on it. However, if your money earns that money, right? If you buy and sell stocks, you pay a low tax rate on it. It's much less. And what that means is, like, let's say even me, I'm trying not to come across as some sort of cocky asshole, but like, I've saved a lot of money. And even now, like, I've never had a year where I earned more, like my money's earned more than I have. I still get money from working. Kobe Bryant earns more by his endorsements and his basketball, salary or whatever, than he does off his investments growing. The only people who earn more from investments than from their salary are retired people or the super, super rich. And they pay lower taxes, and it's immoral to me. It's crazy that like if you work for your money, you pay high taxes. If your money earns your money and just keeps doubling on its own, you pay low taxes. And Obama sees the same thing, and he's trying to raise the capital gains rates. And I mean, shucks, I don't know why investment income gets a privileged tax status at all. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. If anything, I'd flip it and say investment income should pay more taxes and earned income should pay lower taxes. Like, I would rather encourage that kind of behavior. But
what about people who only make money through investments? I don't know how that works. I'm just
those people tend to be super rich and children of whatever, and they can pay the same tax rate that you do. Why is it that when you earn your money doing your thing, that you have to pay more taxes than somebody, who just inherited a large trust fund and he gets a low tax rate?
Yeah, it's true.
This is completely off topic.
I might have missed it, but what is the comparative percentages for capital gains tax versus just a normal fuck?
The top tax rate for just a normal fuck, I think, is 39.6%. And for capital gains, it's 23.8%. So about 24 versus 40.
That's actually a huge difference.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's a big deal, and it's the people who own stocks are not paying the kind of taxes that the people who work for cash do. If you work for it, there's this whole the system is rigged, and I don't think the system is so rigged that anybody with the right attitude and work ethic can't get ahead. But I will say, God, it's way easier to stay ahead than it is to get ahead. And in that regard, the system is somewhat rigged. And the tax code is so transparent and out there, you can see it. If your money earns money, you barely pay taxes. If you work for money, you pay a high tax rate. How is that not crazy? And Obama's looking to raise the capital gains tax. So that's that. And they act like, well, when you invest, you create jobs. Bullshit, man. Buying and selling stocks doesn't create jobs. It just doesn't. Can we there's been this pitch that like people who hire people are some kind of superhero. I'll tell you, the reason people hire people is they think that they'll do even better with them on staff. It's not an act of charity. It's that those people bring value to your company. That's why that happens. And they just keep rewarding them with like low tax rates and crazy stuff. It's not right. So I liked a lot of what Obama was doing.
So did Kyle. He told me.
And then I don't know, I'm looking through all his plans here while I've got it in front of me. Some stuff I didn't like. I don't know why child care gets a big tax credit. I don't know why you get a tax credit just for having kids at all. And even though that one benefits me, it still doesn't seem right. I just
shouldn't you be encouraged to go forth and multiply and make more Americans?
Is that
not at this point?
Is that
there's
the
so
idea?
many?
But there's so many Chinese. We need more. There's over 1 billion Chinese. We got to catch up.
I'm not against social engineering by using the tax code. Like for example, I like the home mortgage deduction. I think people become better citizens and better people and more productive when they own a house. Like I think it's a good thing to encourage, and I also feel like a little break. To help people become landowners. I think it's good for the population if they make it easier to buy your house. Bam. So I'm not against using the tax code to encourage that. Having said that, I don't know why we're using the tax code to encourage making babies. I never did quite. It seemed to me like a way to buy votes. I always felt like the motivation behind it was not so much, oh yeah, this would help America, as in this would help me win re-election. Hey, if you've got kids, here's $500.
Maybe so. I always thought of it as a way to, like you said, a little bit of political social engineering, trying to, go have another kid. We'll give you a tax break.
Well,
Yeah.
owning a house, that part really does make sense. I don't really agree so much with the kid thing. Because if a house, that's a big commitment. You're going to be there for the next 25, 30 years, purportedly, if you're not going to be trying to flip them and move all the time. And it's going to make you be a part of a community where you can't just be a piece of shit and then just move around. Like, you have to assimilate. You can't be a renegade douchebag who causes everybody else anxiety.
Yeah, you become a part of the community, like you said, and you mentioned the social part, but there's a political part. You might care a little more about like city planning if you own a little piece of that city. You might care a little more, and you might maintain your place in a way that you wouldn't if you were a renter. And there's some wealth accumulation that happens when you own land. It's good to encourage everyone to own land, because if you don't, then there'll just be a few people that own massive amounts of land, and that's not the way you want your country to be. Like, do you really want just a couple super rich landlords who do like 30% of Georgia is owned by one guy? No, that's not good for Georgia, right? It's nicer when everyone owns their own land. So encourage it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know you mentioned people owning huge amounts of land. Ted Turner owns a huge amount in the Midwest somewhere. He's got some sort of a buffalo ranch out there, bison or something.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like 1 million acres or something like that. It's a huge, huge area of land.
I don't even know
Really, I
how
wanna look
big
that
that
up.
is. Like,
See
I
what
lose
it is.
track. Like, how many square miles would that be?
It's sections. He's got a few sections. He's got a huge amount. And he also has a chain of these restaurants that serve the buffalo. So I've been there before, and it's actually pretty good. It's called like Ted Turner's Bison Burgers or some shit.
It's 1,500 square miles. Now, I know it's not one big, block, but that's... So if it were a square, it'd be about 40 miles on each side. That is a chunk of land.
I'm not sure where it's... Does it say where it is? Is it Montana?
No, the thing I looked up was just a math question. Like,
Oh.
it's not about Ted Turner in particular. Yeah, I think it'd be neat to own massive amounts of land. I don't. You see it sometimes, like 100 acres for sale for something that's like, it's a lot. It's usually like $250,000, like not just something you buy on a whim, but it's also like not something that like a lot of people live in quarter. But
2 million acres of personal and ranch land.
Good Lord.
He's the second largest individual landholder in North America, behind I don't even know who.
No, I was hoping it said. I'm always curious about that sort of thing.
2 million acres. What's he doing with all that?
Anything he wants.
Anything he wants.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, that's
Got 51,000 bison.
51.
Such an absurd belonging.
51,000 bison. When I was a teenager,
51,000 buffalo.
I used to use this joke. It's a stolen joke, but you know, I had that one summer where I picked up tons and tons of girls and took them to see Pretty Woman, the movie. I used to tell girls as part of my little spiel that I had the largest seashell collection in the world, and that I kept it scattered up and down the east coast of America.
Oh, what a fruit you were.
Oh, man. That's terrible.
Oh, they liked it. They liked it.
What was that joke you had for PKN? It was something about...
Oh, the emo kids.
Oh, yeah, the emo kids. Tell Taylor.
I wonder if I might have deleted it. I tend to, so I don't tell them twice.
Do you remember it, Kyle?
Oh, I have it here. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I will
I'm
retell my PKN joke. This is what you're missing if you're not a Patreon. Got a job working with a bunch of emo kids. It's so depressing. They're always going on about dying. They look terrible with their white skin, and they complain how shit their life is. Sorry, not emo kids. Chemo kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both aggravating, aren't they?
That one bites hard. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Some of those jokes you find are pretty good. I like a lot of them. Some of them are just terrible, and they're not even funny. But that one was just dark and made me feel bad on the inside when I chuckled at it.
I like to say that I'm going
really,
for
no.
terrible, so that way if I hit it, it's not so awful.
Well, you hit it that time. That was pretty terrible.
Let me see. I've got to... oh,
I'll be
boy.
right back.
Here's awful. Do you guys want to hear awful offensive jokes?
Let's hear it.
What's the best part about dead baby jokes?
Oh.
They never get old.
Oh.
What's the difference between Michael Phelps and Hitler? Michael Phelps can finish a race.
Oh. Oh.
Oh my God! What's the difference between Jews and Santa Claus? Santa comes.
That's gonna be something.
Santa
Wait, what's it gonna
comes-
be about, Kyle? We have to guess these.
Okay.
What's the difference between Jews and Santa Claus? So Santa
religion.
Claus. No. Hang on. Santa Claus comes down your chimney, right?
That? Yep.
Seems like, if you cook some Jews in an oven, wouldn't they go like up a chimney? Like, is that where we're headed?
That's it.
That
exactly.
could be it. Really? Wow. Good job, Kyle.
Thank you.
All right, give us another setup, and we have to guess what the end is.
Oh, what's the difference between a slave and a snow tire?
Okay, so a snow tire helps you get out of
Snow.
snow. makes your car have more grip. What's the difference between a slave? Okay, so what do you do to a slave? You whip a slave, you beat a slave, you own a slave. What's the difference between a slave and a snow tire? I'm trying to think of something that you do to both a slave and a snow tire so that there would be a difference. I guess maybe when you...
A snow tire does not sing when you put chains on it.
Damn it! I was even picturing the chain in my head. Fuck. That was easy.
What's the hardest part about being a pedophile?
The hardest part about being a pedophile.
This is different. There's a lot of answers. It's not a what's the
Yeah.
difference
Yeah,
question.
let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Fitting in.
There you go. It was very literal. I see.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
Yeah.
okay. It's because
A lot
the
of darker
tiny
ways you
rectum.
could have gone with that,
Yeah,
strangely
the
enough.
tiny buttholes that we're referring to, child's buttholes. And
Kyle, language.
All right. A guy was walking to a bar, and on his way, he found a girl tied up on the railroad tracks. He untied her, and they had sex. Guy gets to the bar, and friends asked him why he's so late. He tells them about the girl and all the different positions that they fucked in. Friends give him props, and they ask him if he got head. He says, "Nah, I couldn't find the head." See, he found
So
her
that was
tied
just
up on the
not even a
railroad
joke.
tracks.
Ew! It came right at us with the necrophilia joke. Really got us invested in that girl, and she was dead the whole time.
My girlfriend is into strange role play while we have sex. She always insists on pretending to be 14 years old. I don't get why. She'll be 14 in a couple of years anyway.
Yep.
I saw that one coming.
Oh, did you?
That's terrible.
Yeah, that's
nice and awful.
rehashed quite a bit.
Pretty bad.
That's all I've got on this particular list.
Good.
Of bad jokes.
Some of those are quite bad. I don't mean bad as in like, oh, that's a terrible joke. I just mean like some of those are dark. Some of those are pretty rough.
Yeah, the title was "Warning: Dark Jokes Ahead."
I've been watching Netflix a lot lately, and I found a nice little series. It's like Vietnam in HD. It's like a 6-part.
I was
thing.
I was watching that right before we started the show.
Really?
Like
What is
right
this?
before. First episode, it's great.
Vietnam in HD, and it's narrated. They tell the story of Vietnam, along with historical footage as well as like on the scene footage shot by soldiers, accompanied by historical reenactment, and they mix it all together in a way that it's really really good. I watched all 6 parts.
Is it as good as like the Pacific or?
Oh, it's not like that.
Well, it's not like that. It's not like a story, from what I can tell. It's just like a documentary where they have actual color HD footage. There's a lot of really intense gore that happened right off the bat in it, so that's really upsetting. But yeah, it's not like you're
lot of
following a
stories.
specific guy the whole way
Like-
through like you are in the drama.
Sometimes
Pacific.
you are though. Like they'll have. It's not like there aren't actors. You're not following a story. It'll be more like there's some Vietnam vet, and he's telling you the story and reading, and you go back and forth. So they'll have like a professional. It's the whole thing is narrated by Michael something or another from Dexter, like the main guy from Dexter, and they've got other celebrities voicing some of the
Yeah, a guy
the
from
younger
Sunny is in it too,
versions.
Dennis.
Yeah. And they're like voicing the younger versions of these soldiers, but they have the old guys there too telling the story. You're talking about like Hamburger Hill and stuff like that. And after watching that thing, I learned a lot about Vietnam I didn't know, and it was really depressing to watch. All of the wasted, I think 58,000 dead Americans. The ratio for the longest time was like 12-1. North Vietnamese casualties to American casualties. So God only knows what it was by the end of the war. We must have killed 500,000 of them. And they went into all the they covered the war completely from start to finish.
Is that? I feel like America learned a thing from that too. Like, we lost Vietnam, but we had a 12-1, KD ratio, for lack of a better term. And I don't know. Do we still do that? I don't know. Maybe we didn't.
Well, what they keep reiterating in the documentary is that it was a war that wasn't fought for land or territory. It was fought for body count, and so in that way, it was sort of a war of attrition. It was never really going to end, especially when you couldn't go into Laos and Cambodia and get to the heart of the trail and the heart of where the ammo dumps were, the food dumps. Late in the war, in this series, they talk about the excursions into Laos and Cambodia, 30,000 Americans going in at once in a coordinated effort, and the supply dumps they found with tons of rice and tons of ammunition 7 miles into the Cambodian border because they were just waiting on the Americans to leave Vietnam so they could make the final push, and then they did. They crushed the South. It was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. If you like history, and maybe you feel like you're a little bit ignorant about Vietnam, and that's how I felt in some ways. I knew the basics, I knew the broad strokes, but this thing was pretty detailed. It's 6 episodes, they're roughly an hour long each, and I definitely learned a lot. It was good.
I feel ignorant on Vietnam, and I think I can explain why. When I was in school, right? Like, so I was born in 73. I'm 41. So picture me at like 7 years old in the Vietnam, by the way, ended in like 73. So it'd kind of be like teaching the Gulf War now, right? That thing's 7 years old-ish, right? What was it, 10 years old? You don't really have that historical perspective, and it's a political topic. And Vietnam was way more of a political hotspot than the Iraq War is. So, like, I would ask my teachers, like, why did we get into Vietnam? And I remember he's like, oh, don't even get me started. You don't want to know. You're a history teacher, asshole. Like, I asked you why, I literally didn't know why Vietnam started. There's like a fake boat sinking or something.
Yep.
They don't teach it properly. They don't tell people, like, this is why Vietnam started. This was the true motive behind it.
Fuck all that. Fuck all those. Fuck the public education system. If you want to know, I promise you, this documentary will teach you everything you know. I had all the same questions. That it came down to communism versus democracy, and it's another little.
They should teach that in public education. They should be like, look, they lied to the American people, and they said that Vietnam attacked our naval ship. But the truth is that they felt like the Soviets were expanding communism country by country, and we were, fighting communism. It was a proxy war between the U.S. and Russia, but, Vietnam soldiers. Say that, if that's the deal.
That is the deal.
Yeah.
And I've watched a few I watched another one last night. There was a PBS thing that began telling the story at the invasion of Iraq. And the end of the story was ISIS. And it was a PBS thing, and that was really good. They made Bush look like a real fool. The whole, the way the war was planned, and they basically said that at no point was the mission to get rid of the insurgents. It was always about containment, and that's why they were in these big bases. It was they really dug the thing apart. They pulled the generals who were in charge apart. It was really good.
Who was good at containing the insurgents? Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
It turns
well, they
out...
explained where the insurgents came from. They're like, pre-war, the plan was to leave the Iraqi military intact, the Iraqi army intact, and then all of a sudden the decision was made to send 300,000 men home unemployed with weapons and the know-how to use them. And then 3 weeks later, the bombing started. It's just it didn't make sense.
Bush is one of the worst presidents in the history of mankind. He was just super, super bad.
And the guys under him were fucking scary, evil motherfuckers. They kept saying how Rumsfeld kept asking, when are you guys gonna wrap this thing up? When are you gonna wrap this thing up? And they were just like, never. like, don't you understand what's going on the ground, sir? Like, we don't have the, That was really good. That was really informative to watch.
What was that one? What are these called? Say again.
The
Vietnam in HD.
Vietnam in HD, and then the other one's not on Netflix.
It's
right?
called Vietnam. The other one is on Netflix. It's a PBS. It's probably under the recently added tab. Hang on. I'll pull it up exactly in just a moment.
Oh, I actually watched that one about a week ago too.
It was good.
I didn't realize how little I knew about Vietnam.
I've been watching Supernatural, and I'm slightly dumber for it. Turns out angels are bad. I don't know.
How far are you in? Did you start in the middle?
No, I had seen up through season 8, and then I was like, oh yeah, 9's out. It's all ready to watch. So I'm about halfway through season 9.
That's the show with the terrible makeup and awful creatures, and just takes you out of the moment and stuff.
It is, but I'm watching season 9, and I'm like, you know what? It does seem like they've stepped up their budget a bunch. There's just different.
Couldn't have gone down.
You could tell at first, like, it really had the budget of like a high school play, where they're like, just imagine that's a demon. But
they've got the UV or AV squad in the back, actually doing all the special effects.
But if you watch it now, while they, of course, couldn't change the look of all the demons and angels and stuff, you're like, I can tell some effort went into making this thing.
It looks better now.
Yeah, it does look better, and the lighting is all strong.
So that PBS thing is called Frontline Losing Iraq. It was made this year. It's an hour and a half long. and it's pretty fucking good.
All of those
go-
frontline things are great. Like all
Yeah.
the different frontline ones on there. Some
Frontline-
of them are really depressing.
What was it? Frontline what?
Frontline losing Iraq.
Losing. Wow. You know what I watched recently? Did you guys see Restrepo?
Yes.
Yeah, when that
I
first
haven't
came,
seen
that
the
came out a
sequel to
while
it, though.
ago.
Did you know there was a sequel?
I did know. I haven't
not
watched
know
it
that.
yet.
Yeah, I saw that. I forget what it was called. Like, I want to say it's Kabul or something like that. But anyway, it's they just did it again. It gives you a really solid understanding of what Iraq is like. You know, sometimes people die, and it's just like sniper in the dark, bam, insta death. Somebody's down. The Americans are typically killing a lot more than they're dying, and but it's mostly just like two groups in hills behind sandbags, like taking shots at each other all the time. They're not really gaining and losing ground. They're just sort of holding and being there so that someone else can't have that chunk of land. And
Had you seen American Sniper yet?
no, have
No.
you?
No, I did see some of the criticisms for it and some of the good reviews and the bad reviews. I've read a lot of reviews about it. It seems to be really mixed. A lot of people. So I saw what fucking comedian did it? He compared it to. He compared it to.
Seth Rogen?
I think it might have been Seth Rogen. He compared it to the phony film at the
Inglourious
end of
Bastards.
Inglourious
Yeah,
Bastards.
it was him.
And
Is
someone
that his name,
pointed
the
out,
heavy guy from Interview? Seth Rogen?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
And
him.
someone pointed out that the literal translation for American Sniper in German was like the same as the title for that movie, and because it's it's like American Sniper, and it was the same thing. So he compared it. The quote was that he compared it to Nazi propaganda, which is not true. That's not what he said, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen the movie. But it's got a lot of critics. I think I'd like to see it. I think it's going to be really good. The one criticism that I saw that I'm not going to excuse it for was that fake baby that everyone keeps making fun of. Apparently, like in the scenes where Chris Kyle's holding his baby, when Bradley Cooper's holding the baby, it's a doll. It's not even the robot doll that they have now that wiggles and coos. It's a fucking like Piss Me Amy doll that you could get at the store for like $12. And the excuse apparently was that one of the kids was sick and the other was a no-show or something like that, so they went to the fucking doll. And my thought process was, why didn't they just fucking film something else that day?
Yeah.
Or just find a baby. It's not that hard.
Nominated
Find
for
a
Best
baby.
Picture.
It's a big, high-budget movie. Go to Taco Bell somewhere. Find a lady with a baby. Hey, I'll buy your chalupa if you let me borrow him for 30 minutes.
There's very strict rules. Apparently, babies can only work like 20 minutes a day or something like that. I know Clint Eastwood is the kind of director who prefers one-cut takes. Like he wants to go in there and just get it done. And it's like if he doesn't like the first cut, he's saying something like, "Well, that wasn't worth a fuck, now was it?" And it's like it's a problem if he's not. So I'm sure he's not the guy who's wanting to sit around and wait on a baby. But still, it seems shitty for this film that's getting all this praise and it's nominated for Best Picture to have a fucking fake baby in it that I could get. I've seen the screenshots. It's a obviously fake baby.
So are people hating on the
Chris
movie
Kyle?
itself?
It seems like Chris Kyle. I hate to speak ill of the dead and some American hero, dead guy, etc. But it's coming out of the woodwork what a douchebag he was, and I'm cautious
hear
about
mixed-
believing it. Because
I am as well. I hear mixed things about that. I haven't heard he's a douchebag, but he seemed to feel that like he was proud of what he did, and he wished he'd done more of it. And his thing was that he was shooting people who were a direct threat to American soldiers, and I think that he was unabashedly non-apologetic about that. And he was like, his job was to shoot people, and he enjoyed doing his job, and that was that.
Okay.
It seems to be.
What about the bullshit about him beating up Jesse Ventura?
Oh, yeah. I didn't. Did he write that? Where did he say that?
So in his book, let me get my facts right here.
Wait, so is this guy dead?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he killed himself, right?
Someone shot him.
Someone shot him, you said?
Yeah.
So in his
Like in
book,
war or some...
Back home, someone murdered him. I believe.
In his book, let me get this out. Chris Kyle and his group encountered a character named Scruffface, who insulted George W. Bush, slammed the Iraq War, and even added the horrific sneer that the SEALs deserved to lose a few. And a fight ensued, and according to Kyle, being level-headed and calm can only last so long. And I laid him out. Tables flew, stuff happened, Scruffface ended up on the floor. He happily added that Scruffface had a black eye the next day. And then in some thing, I forget where it was. Oh, he was in an interview in Fox News where he said it again. He told the same story, that he beat up Scruffface. And he said that was Jesse Ventura. So then what happened is Jesse Ventura became the most hated man in America, persona non grata in any military or veteran community. TV show deals for him that, he built a TV career as a host and stuff. They all dried up, right? So he was no longer showing up on these news shows, etc. Jesse Ventura's career was rocked because he claimed that the SEALs deserved to lose a few, and he slammed Bush and the Iraq War, etc. It turns out the whole thing is total bullshit. That they never got into a fight. Jesse Ventura wasn't there. He didn't have a black eye, etc. And by the way, it's really hard to win these cases. So you think it might be a he said, she said thing, but for Ventura to win, it needed to be super lopsided. And by the way, they had to prove that Chris Kyle made a lot of money off of this lie, which he did, because he went on Fox News and different talk shows talking about how he beat up Jesse Ventura. He put it in his book. His book made millions of dollars. There's a movie coming out of it. Jesse Ventura won, let me see, is the amount in here?
Was it 1.7? That's the number stuck in my head.
$1.84 million. Jesse Ventura won $1.84 million from the estate of Chris Kyle because it's built on, at least in part, lies about Jesse Ventura.
I think I actually heard Jesse Ventura on the Stern Show addressing this, and I didn't realize that's what he was discussing at the time. So I don't remember the pertinent facts, but because I remember it was brought up that he was taking the money maybe from like a wife and kids,
right?
Because the guy wasn't around anymore, and he was defending that. And I thought he did a good job at it. Even
apparently that's normal. So it's like you could phrase it that way, but basically he sued Chris Kyle, and then when Chris Kyle died, this happens automatically. It just transfers to now he's suing the guy's estate. And they're acting like, oh, his poor wife and kid. His poor wife and kids are multi-millionaires now, based on the lies that he told about Jesse Ventura, in part. So
was that really a big part of what made him famous? Because I didn't follow him when he was coming up.
I wouldn't say that, no. Probably the big part is all the kills that he got in Iraq. I think he's the most deadly sniper America's ever had, or something like that.
Yeah, America's ever had. But he doesn't stand up against that fucking crazy Finnish guy, the White Death or whatever, that shot like 580-something Russians.
Good lord. Yeah, I heard that guy used to eat snow.
Russians was like shooting fish in a barrel.
Negative 20
They were just running around with no weapons in the cold.
He was
snow
in his mouth so he didn't breathe steam and stuff like it.
He got shot in the face.
Yeah.
And kept going.
Yeah, he didn't.
Is that the guy who used iron sights? He used iron sights.
Yeah, they called him the White Death.
But yeah, and basically, yeah. Here it is. The
Chris
book
Kyle's
earned $6 million, and the movie, of course, will earn even more. And Jesse Ventura, on the other hand. Oh, here it is. He got $500,000 for defamation and then $1.3 million for unjust enrichment, which means that Kyle and his estate wrongly profited from the defamation, from the lies they told.
I see.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why would you lie about a fight with Jesse Ventura when you're the most deadly sniper in American history? Like, why put that little tidbit of who gives a fuck on top of the Sunday that is your military success?
I can almost tell you why. Because at the time, Jesse Ventura was speaking out against the Iraq War. He was saying we're doing it wrong. He would say, like, if he was speaking out against waterboarding, for example. And, he'd say, look, I can get Cheney to admit to, I forget what the crime was, to killing some chick. If you give me him a waterboard in 30 minutes. Waterboarding shouldn't happen. America shouldn't torture people, etc. Jesse Ventura was saying this, and it was making the right-wing people really dislike him, right-wing guys like Chris Kyle, because he was speaking out pretty much against America in that he wasn't lining up with the torture. So now he's telling stories about how he beat him up and laid him out in a bar and stuff like that. Just to add to his sort of hero persona thing going on. Yeah, I beat that guy up. The one who's talking trash about our torture policies.
I definitely want to see the movie. I like Clint Eastwood. I like Bradley Cooper. And I think it's going to be an interesting story. The trailer's really powerful. The trailer's great. And the fact that it's nominated for Best Picture, it's not going to win, of course, but that says something about the filmmaking, despite the fake baby, which is irking me, even though I haven't seen the movie. But it broke a ton of records. I saw that's Clint Eastwood's biggest open since Gran Torino, which was his biggest open prior. It's Bradley Cooper's biggest January open. R-rated.
I'm really into it because I like war movies, and the sniper story sounds like basically the content of this thing is exactly what I'd like. And it's stupid internet stories. If half the things they said about me was true, I'd be a bigger douche than I could live with. If how much of what they're saying about Chris Kyle is actually true, especially someone who is like, if someone's a good guy, if someone's this American hero, there's always a million people trying to expose why he really wasn't. So I don't know what to make of it, but I am stuck on this exposure stuff, and it doesn't help that he just lost in court for lying about beating people up, and come on, let's
just watch this thing. We'll get to watch Bradley Cooper shoot some Iraqi bad guys, and we'll feel better about losing the war.
Did we lose the Iraq War?
It's just like Rambo. Yeah, we totally lost that war. It depends what winning meant to you. If it was conquering the country, like we did that in the first week, like first 3 days or something. Like if it's about enacting if it's about replacing Saddam Hussein's dictatorship with a fully operating democracy and creating a more peaceful, happy environment for every Iraqi on average, then we failed and we lost. And we spent more fucking money than it's an ungodly amount of money that was spent in Iraq.
They actually told us we'd make money on it. They said this war will cost less than zero. We'll make money on it.
Well, some people made money.
I don't doubt that.
A lot of people made money, but it wasn't the American taxpayer. Their grandchildren will be paying for this war. It was incredibly, incredibly expensive. It was so expensive that if I looked it up and told you still wouldn't comprehend it. It's such an enormous amount of money.
Once you get into like multiple billions or trillions of dollars, it's like it doesn't even mean anything anymore because you can't put something tangible next to it.
Yeah, I don't know what $1 trillion would even look like. I can't imagine it.
This pops into my... If you get a Republican president, there's a really good chance we'll start a war with somebody.
We can't afford that shit. We need to be figuring something out.
Couldn't afford it last time, did it anyway.
Last time, it was one of those things, I felt it was like, no, we can't really afford that new Sudan, but we can survive it. Mm-hmm. Like we'll still eat and everything, and the lights will stay on. But at this point, it's like we don't need to blow another $1 trillion here, killing some brown people we don't like. Like we need to take a step back, or we're gonna take a few steps back in a different role. We're gonna continue to. We're not gonna be a superpower anymore. For one thing, we're just gonna spend ourselves into becoming another British Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A tiny little pathetic island.
Oh God, here we go. Colin McGregor is this UFC fighter. You're familiar with him, right?
Yeah.
It's a wonder he fights at all, right? You'd think he'd just be neutral. You think he'd go in the octagon and not pick a side.
I didn't bring any fresh material for the Irish this week. I'm afraid. I did a little research. I guess there's just not that much that's been written about the Irish, really.
Well, usually you don't have to bring more material. It's just the anger just seeps out of you. You're just seething over there, just head shaking like a maniac.
Someone tweeted me and said that it was really uncool that I said we should bomb. Was it Egypt? I think it was Egypt I said we should bomb. Because,
I don't know.
I forget. Like, some people from... Oh, where were the people that attacked France from? It was the same place the USS Cole was blown up, I think.
Oh, Yemen?
Yeah, I think it was Yemen. And I was like, oh, did we get attacked from Yemen? Let's kill some other country with brown people. Good luck, Egypt.
Yeah.
And a guy tweeted me, and he's like, "Oh, it's not cool." It's like, don't take offense. Next week, New Jersey. So here we are.
Yeah.
Bomb Jersey, just because they stink.
Jersey is the worst. I hope I never have to go back to New Jersey again. I can't imagine why I would, because I'll never drive that far up the East Coast again. I'm pretty sure I'll never step foot in that state ever again. That makes me
I've never been, but I could picture taking a trip to Jersey just to like appreciate my life more. It'd almost be like walking through like a Cambodian village for a day.
Fucking Boise. You're in Boise, making fun of Joyzy. It's not
Have
right.
you ever smelled, like, you know that scene in Fight Club when they talk about the smell of the paper mill, and it's like they mention it smells like stale farts or something like that? Like, that's what it smells like. New Jersey, that is. The Garden State smells like. It smells like
Stale farts.
the trash dump behind like one of the castles.
Can
in
I have
Game
a
of Thrones.
timeout here?
Like just rotten animals.
I want to
and
know the
cabbage.
truth. In the inside of your head, do you honestly think Jersey smells like that? Or do you recognize that we just drove through a place that smelled like that?
We drove through the heart of New Jersey, right through the most populated industrial area where the fancy folk of New Jersey live, I'm sure. Like, I could see New York City. Like we were there. It was the New Jersey Turnpike, and it smelled awful. It was a smell that, it was one of those smells where like it creeps in, and it's like a dead person's heart or something. It's like a dead body was laying there, and you were just like, I'll miss you forever, and they went and like that like went in your nose. That's. And then you roll the window down. You're like, fuck this shit. You try to get it down, and then it hits you at 60 miles per hour. That's what the whole world out there smells like. Like,
But back to my timeout. You know that was just like, a couple square miles of Jersey. And
you're telling me that I just so happened to have passed through the smell zone.
yeah, it's right there at the
rest of
turnpike.
Oh, okay. Well,
Culture.
next time we'll go to South Jersey. I'm sure that smells much nicer. I'm sure it doesn't smell like Captain Planet. Some Captain Planet villain came through there yesterday.
It doesn't. The part I'm from, so Morristown was suburbs and smelled like where you're from, and then the Ocean City smelled like the ocean.
I don't believe you. I think that I feel like that.
I love
feel
that
like
you don't believe me.
this Ocean City, New Jersey place. Like I imagine it like the beach from. It was that episode of It's Always Sunny when they all went to Atlantic City.
Oh,
and there were
there's
syringes,
broken
and
bottles and
wild
syringes.
dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I imagine every time you mention Atlantic City, New Jersey. I imagine syringes and a whole ham, and the dogs are tearing at the flesh, and there's still that smell, quite frankly.
Dude,
of
it's fun. When I was
Woody's
a little
just living in the
kid,
glory days when Nucky ran the boardwalk and there was fresh pelicans on the wood.
Listen to
and,
this,
it was
man.
all freshly varnished.
when I was a little kid, New York used to dump their trash in the ocean. That was just like standard practice. They dump their trash in the ocean. And I was a surfer. So there would be all this trash in the ocean. Wildwood would shut down for weeks because like the bacteria count in the water was too high. I remember I read something, I forget where, but they said that the plastic tampon inserter tool was the New Jersey seashell. And I was like, that's what those things are. They're all over the place here.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was so gross. There used to be these tar balls. They were like the size of a marble. And they'd like stain my wetsuit and get on my surfboard wax and stuff like that. But
That's
now they don't put their trash in the ocean anymore. That problem's fixed.
I'm gonna run to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
All right. All right. Would you like a joke to kill the? Kyle running to the bathroom is going to be a while, right? He's going to come. Oh, well, let's do this. What will he come back with?
Yes. He probably won't come back with. He either won't come back with anything, because if he comes back with a toy, he's always like a child, like, wait right here, I'm going to come go get that. And then he comes back with it all skipping. But he's probably going to come back with food, or just finishing up chewing something, because he makes a whole sandwich in the kitchen and then eats it on the way down.
Yeah, I think
He'll come back with some food.
I think he's been hungry for quite some time. I mean, he talked about French fries hours ago, right? Like he's planning out the junk food he'll eat after this show. I suspect that he goes to the kitchen and finds some sort of snack on his bathroom break.
Oh. Yeah, he is counting down the last hour of the show, just feverishly waiting for those fries. He was talking to me about that before the Anthony Cumia show. I did, talking about his I had the garlic salt in there. Then I put the onion salt and just a little bit of paprika. It's like these.
Does he really use
just start
paprika?
grabbing. I don't know. It was some spice, and that's the name of one. But I can picture him there with his spinny spice rack, just choosing things like a chef in a Disney musical. Just late at night.
What are the rainbow lights I'm looking at behind you? Is that a
Oh.
television, or do you actually
It's
have
a
disco
television
lights?
faced that way. My girlfriend's playing Borderlands in the living room.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, she's sitting on the floor over there playing on her TV.
How long have you guys been dating now? It's getting to be a while, right?
Yeah, it's been, I think, year and a half.
Year and a half. All right. Marriage plans in the future?
No.
Is that
Not
a never
even
type thing?
It's not a hard no, but it's I'm too young for that now. No reason to introduce something like that in my life. I don't want to speed through it, you know?
How old are you?
I'll be 24 in April.
Yeah, I was married by the time I was your age.
Really?
Mhm.
Wait, you were married at 23?
Yeah. The question is, I don't know if I was married at 20. Oh, I know. Yeah. I was engaged at 22, and then I was 23 in 2 months when I got married.
I guess you're beating me. Well, I have thought about things like that, where you have obviously been young while your kids have been growing up, so you can still do everything they want to do. You know, not like they're old, but I don't know. What do you think is too late?
For
Too late
marriage?
to have kids. For a guy, no, to have children. Because I'm still on the fence about that. I don't know if I ever want any.
I think it'd be nice to have your last kid by 30, 32, something like that. So, too late also depends on how many kids you want. If you want 6 kids, get started. If you want 2 kids, then you could do 30, 32 or, 28, 30, something like that.
Yeah. So when's it start to get dangerous for the women? It's like over 35, 40, something like that?
It's definitely not 40. 35, I think, is a mark they use. I think 30 might even be one they use too. But they get better and better at it. Let's see, when is childbearing age? Maybe that'll look it up.
It's going to give you some like old-timey statistics, like 11 is ideal.
It is unwise to wait till their 30s. But the best age is 20 to 35. That just seems weird. That doesn't fit. Yeah, here it is. So this thing keeps quoting 35 as the age in which pregnancies have become troublesome. Genetic disorders and stuff like that. But people are waiting longer and longer. Medicine gets better and better, but people are people. Like I have a hard time balancing that in my own head. It's like, yeah, they used to say 35 was a big problem, but medicine's advanced so far from there. Right. But humans haven't evolved jack in the last 20 years.
That's one like hard and fast rule that's never going to get made better by PC, don't talk about it, hope for the best stuff, there is a set point where you just can't do that anymore. Like, you can believe the whole, I'm going to wait till I'm in my mid-40s before I have kids, but chances are it's not going to work out. Like, there's just a point where you need to have children by to be safe. Or at least that's my understanding of it from the very limited Wikipedia research I've done.
Me too, yeah. And I looked at a second article, so 35 seems to be the cap. And so, you want your last kid to be finished at 35. That kind of is the number. How many kids do you want, if any?
If any, probably one.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
you could hang on there.
Yeah, I don't really want kids that much at all. Or maybe I might. I mean, when you were my age, you were married. You did want them. Kyle, though, he's older than I am, so if I could just watch him stay a few years behind, see how he goes, and if he regrets having kids, I just have a 4-year window to hit it. Right? About 4 years older than me, right?
I like to think of Kyle as the uncle type.
There you go. He nails it. Absolutely. I'd be a great uncle. Like if you want to like have a good time, like I'm totally the uncle that'll like get you laid or something, or we'll go blow some shit up, or let you shoot your first machine gun, or maybe we can go beat up some minorities or something. I don't know, but like if you're counting on me to like shape the like upbringing, like create an individual's personality, like help shape it and form it, even with my genetics, my DNA, I'm gonna be 50% of this kid at least. Like, I don't want that going on. No, I don't think I want any kids, man. That's a huge responsibility. I would take it very seriously, and I'm not. I see people. I hate to say it, but Jeremy, for example, Jeremy's kids. He's not getting a big leg up in the world for a number of reasons. I don't want to like go make this a Jeremy beatdown thing, but I wouldn't wish that the life that Jeremy's child is going to experience upon a child. And so, like, I feel like I would have such a responsibility if I were going to have a kid to give that kid a great life. I don't want that responsibility. So,
isn't the mom in Jeremy's situation shockingly good and effective and better than you might guess?
I mean, she's better looking than you might guess. That's about it. She's already got like another kid or two, and like I guess she's good at like working the system and
Oh, that's not what I
The
was
system,
hoping
like
for.
welfare.
Yeah.
See, Woody, she's in good hands. Or he, son, daughter, whatever.
Oh, he's got this handled. He'll get a check. And apparently we were also saying that she would be good, if Jeremy ever married her, that she would be good at acquiring child support out of Jeremy, basically, and alimony if it ever came to that as well. I don't think that she's a great person, and I don't think that kid's gonna have much of a leg up in the world. I'll just leave it at that. I feel sorry for that kid.
This whole so I was on Reddit and I forget what I said, but something along the lines of like, hey, I funded my own school. I just worked hard, kind of had 2 jobs for a while, and I earned what I got. And someone else was like, that's privilege. And I replied and said, I don't see what having white has to do with it. I never got a leg up because I'm white. No one ever gave me anything because I'm white. It didn't help me with my grades. It didn't help me get into school. Didn't do anything. And the guy's like, it's not that you're white. I don't even know what you are, because it was Reddit. It's that it's pretty clear to me that like you were sent in that direction. Your parents said, go to college. Your parents said this. Like they laid out a map and gave you sort of the clues to how to get by in the world. That's the privilege. And
That's ridiculous.
well, I had a coworker, Anthony. Now, Anthony's black, and he's from Siler City, North Carolina, which is kind of like a farming community. And he said that like a lot of his peers just didn't really know what college was or what it was about, like aside from some of the things they saw in movies. They didn't understand how it opened up certain jobs, and they never really considered it an option in their personal roadmap. That it just like it was never really presented or encouraged or whatever. It was like, you get that piece of paper. That piece of paper means high school diploma. And then after that, you begin life and do whatever. Like, it wasn't like, whereas probably I would guess with you, they're like, yeah, after 12th grade, there's 13th grade, college freshman. That's your path. It's what we expect from you. It's where you're headed. And that's the privilege. So, but I wonder, like, I'm not really sure. Like, sometimes I line up with what you just said, which is, dude, really? Like, at this point, you don't know college? Like, you didn't realize that opened up better jobs to you? Everyone knows that.
Everybody knows that. It's just an ever-present battle of those left people trying to remove any semblance of responsibility or accountability for your own actions from any inner locus of control of wanting to succeed and outsourcing it all to, it's all just where you were raised or how you were raised or this or that. Like, they just take all the responsibility. Like, most people, that farming guy, he could have been in your same situation. He might not have gone to college. He might not have had the work ethic to work 2 jobs while getting a computer science degree or accounting, whatever it was initially you got. Like, that's just ridiculous. You had a hard work ethic and you succeed.
Did you ever consider a life of crime instead? There must have been many times when you were like working really hard and not seeing much coming back.
What I particularly considered was there was this guy I worked with. His name was Kobe, and he used to brag about his hacking adventures. And it was like, can you get me a degree? Can you just war games this thing and go in there and add some grades? That would mean so much to me. I would pay for it. You know, dude, I'll give you 10,000. It's probably cheaper than the courses. Just save me this pain in the ass of actually learning all this shit. That I never did anything. Right?
You know, I've thought about that a bit. Because I've had girlfriends, you know, struggling their way through college before, and I've seen that, like how stringent it is. I've dated a couple girls who were really advancedly placed and in a pretty prestigious university or two. Oxford, one young lady was going to, and MIT another, and I was seeing how hard it was, and I was like, why can't you just fake a diploma? I was like, why couldn't we do that? And they're like, oh no, they check up on that. And I was like, okay, so what do they check? Let's start there. You know,
Yeah,
it was
right?
just like we got to a point where it was like, so you're telling me that if we could get like one person to tell a lie, then you could just skip all that college shit? like that's what it comes down to. If you get like one person to lie for you, or if you could impersonate that one person, like you pretty much got this thing sewn up.
Yeah, and think about the
You should
money
try
that saves. You know, like those schools, by the way, I would guess a degree costs, I'm making this up, but like 80 grand, 160 grand, you know, something like that.
It's rough. I remember she was always like fighting tooth and nail to like keep, not just like there was a regular scholarship that came along as long as she was like an A student, but she was like, she had to be like top 3 in her class, and she got another little bump, and she was always clawing and scratching for that.
Oh, God.
It was so expensive.
I couldn't imagine. By the time I got to my master's, that was me like academically running full speed. You know, like it in high school, I could slack, and if I wanted to or worked hard, I could catch up to the class. In college, I could do that, but it was more difficult, and I could only slack so much or I wouldn't catch them, right? Imagine we're running, those people are jogging. Yeah, I can catch a jogger, but it's not as easy as it was the walkers in high school. By the time I got to my master's, everybody was running. And if I slipped behind the pack, I had to keep running the whole time. You know, if I went for a PhD or something, I wonder if I'm smart enough. I'm not really, they're actually the same courses. You just have to do the dissertation. But yeah, it was like, I want to say,
Is that something you consider? Do you consider now going for more education?
Not now. At the end of my master's, though, that was on the list. It was like, all right, so I had...
Not now at all. You don't consider anything like that? Because, you know, it wouldn't be a great financial burden to add a degree or to add a doctorate if you so wanted. You could be Dr. Woody.
I am so like burnt out on school. I loathe the concept. Not that I hate school, but like the thought of me doing that more. Oh my God. No. I don't want to be in school at all right now. Like that's no, that sounds like the last thing I want to do.
I think it'd be hilarious if you did that. If you were like, you know what? I'm going to be Dr. Woody. Fuck you.
But I want there to be some sort of miscommunication with your transcript, and you have to do it Billy Madison style and breeze through all the elementary school in like a week and just keep going.
I love that.
The skills that appeal to me right now are usually like on the other end of it. Like, you know what? I want to step up my welding. You know what? I want to step up, like, I should learn to farm potatoes. Like, that's the kind of thing I feel like doing right now, not queuing theory or whatever.
Have you ever done any like extracurricular, like for example, like a cooking class, a dancing class, something like those are sort of the datey ones, because I couldn't really. It doesn't seem like people go to like workshops and learn skills like that once they're adults.
They do, yeah. Like, and I've wanted to actually. Like, so there was a time when I was welding a bunch for off-roading, and community college offers welding courses. I was like, I should go there. They offer woodworking courses too, and I'm like, I wonder if there's something there that I would benefit from.
You know, we need to take our explosives course.
Yes. Yeah,
the most fun course of all.
That is that sounds fantastic. I bet they find a way to make it not fun. I bet it's all about
we were at one, remember? Like that's what I think that's what was going on in part.
That was I don't think that's going to be our experience. So we were at one, right? We went there, they mixed the stuff, they stretched out like 200 yards of det cord. You could see how fast it was. They blew up a door, etc. It was cool. It was fun. I think that is the showmanship version of it. I suspect lots of academic work on how to transport explosives. I
Well-
expect like memorization on how thick a magazine, which for people who don't know, a magazine is kind of like a safe that holds explosives. Go
It's a
on.
one-day class. So it's a one-day class.
Is it a one-day class? Jesus
Yes.
Christ! It should be
one day.
harder.
We're it's not
there-
even required. This is for our benefit. like this isn't. It's not required. This is making sure we don't hurt ourselves. Like we're gonna
So
learn.
you don't even have to do this before you start making
From
explosives.
what I understand, to file for the license and to even acquire it, one does not need to take one of these classes. I've been told that. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I've been told that, and yet I definitely do want to take the class. I think we're going to learn practical stuff like how to wire stuff up and how to detonators and C4 and such, and we're going to blow some shit up.
I could use some practical stuff.
I mean, it
even
costs
if it's
$1,000.
transporting it, like, give me a hand here. Like, how do people store their detonators and their det cord and stuff? So then, like, even in the case of an accident, you never mix the peanut butter and the chocolate. How to like what kind of container should these things be in the back of your truck, and how does it need to be mounted? How do you store it? Hey, and when you store it, like, is say humidity an issue? I took a bunch of gun courses when I started shooting. Most of them weren't required, but I'm different than Kyle. I wasn't raised like just being like around guns or hints dropped on guns. I imagine Kyle's father gave him a million pieces of advice over the course of raising him. Mine gave me zero, right? So taking those courses helped me a ton. I could probably use an explosive course too. We'll see.
Yeah. I want to do some crazy shit. I want to. I just remember seeing this.
If you wrap det cord around a tree stump, won't it like explode internally and just slice it?
Yeah, I know you can cut trees down like that by wrapping it around the trees. For a tree stump, I don't even know what would be best. That's when we're taking the class. I don't know. I know C4 is incredibly destructive. Were you there when we blew that car up with C4? No, it wasn't me. I was there to see it, but it was at T1G, and they put like.
Yeah, was it a truck? Oh, yeah, I was there.
They put
though.
those thermoses all over it.
Yep. I remember they put because there was a sponsor or something, right?
Yeah.
And
so they were. It was sort of a viral video type advertisement for these thermoses that were really heavy duty, and they put the explosives in the vehicle. They put the thermoses all over the vehicle, like maybe 10 or 12, and then they blew it all up. And we were a safe distance away in a bunker watching through some glass. And I mean, they blew the fuck out of this car. You've probably seen me blow up cars on my show, and I kind of blow the car in half. Like, the front half is separated from the back, and the roof's gone and the doors are gone. But most of the car is still there. This car there were large pieces of it that just were no more.
Yeah,
And
you could. It wasn't gone, like vaporized, but you'd be like, like here's where a tire landed, or here's where the grill is. But
yeah,
we
had to look hard to find one of those thermoses that was still intact, and they could be like, yeah, it survived, because like 95% of them, just like any device, were just destroyed. It was, if I remember correctly, it was 2 or 3 pounds of C4, and then like a few more pounds. Oh, dynamite. Yeah, it was like 5 pounds of dynamite and 2 pounds of C4, and it was detonated with the det cord. It was super powerful.
They
I
told
remember
me
it shook the glass so much I dropped my camera phone.
det cord is like a fuse, and they told me it was fast. I didn't realize it, and I'm exaggerating here, but to watch it feels like it's going at the speed of light.
7 miles per second, I think.
If you were to lay det cord in a circle around a football field, I don't think it would look like it all went up at the same time. It could just be like you wouldn't be able to see it travel.
It goes 7 miles a second.
Yeah, let me confirm that. It's something crazy fast like
Well,
that.
I want to see a cool video of this then.
Oh, do you? Because Richard Ryan does that shit for a living.
All right, link me to a good one of det cord stuff.
Here you go. How to tap a beer keg with that cord. Let me. It's a
that time-
5-minute video, or I could skip to the part where he actually does the thing. What would you like?
Is Richard Ryan in full mag too?
Oh, let's just skip to the part that's good.
Yeah, he owns it.
Okay, good. Because either that or someone stole his video.
Yeah, I would say this is like some content that he made just for them. So,
I've got a good one.
is it the tapping the beer keg?
It's 500 feet of det cord.
Okay.
So I gave you a link with a timestamp. So when you get to 104, and this is good because Richard Ryan definitely will not sue me. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Ready?
Yep.
Set. Play. So that was the instant version. And here it is in slow-mo. It actually travels.
Going underwater.
Oh, it's cool how it can go underwater.
Be doing.
Ah, shit. I hit a button and ruined it. Can you guys pause and tell me what second you're on?
126.
127.
All right. Ready, set, play.
Very cool.
So what is det cord? Like, what's it for?
It's used as a fuse sometimes, and it's also used as a cutting tool sometimes. It's it looks like rope, but it's and for all intents and purposes, it is rope. It's it's coiled. It's a rope, but it's explosive. And when it explodes, it does it very quickly. There's another one here. Let me see if I can do the timestampy thing. No, you're gonna have to do your own. Let's go to like 2 minutes and 30 seconds in this one. He's tapping a beer keg.
Oh, there it is.
And
Just let me know when you're at 2:30.
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
2:30?
Yes, sir.
All right.
3.
I am on my way.
2. Okay. You there?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, play. So that's
So it's
regular-
instant in real time. It's also instant in real time. Okay, I've got real time covered. Here we. It's instant in slow-mo, right?
he's going to slow it down some more.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure he's got another camera. Cost 150 grand that slows it down even more.
Maybe.
It's hard to say. 2013, that was a while ago. I know now he would.
Do you have any of this stuff, Kyle?
No, that's what I was getting at. Like we need to take the class, and then I want an explosives license, and then yes, I will have this stuff. Oh, that's really cool. Ah, there you go.
we
330.
go. You see how it's this video is not very tall at all? The super high-speed cameras are capable of going slower when you've got less in the image. So he just cuts off the top and bottom so that he can run extra slow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really cool shit.
Like in 1080, he'll be able to do maybe 960 frames per second, but in 1080 by 100 instead of 1080 by like whatever it is, 1290 or something.
He cut it right in half.
puncturing holes in the bottom of it there, out the top, as it's bending the metal inward, it takes and slings some of this stuff through.
This is a cool channel. I'm going to spend some time fucking around on here.
Yeah.
Richard should totally come by and help me remove some tree stumps.
He can do that.
I'm sure.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to see the extras from this video,
He lives in Tennessee.
That's not too far.
Well, I guess he goes back and forth.
Yeah, when I see him, a lot of times he's in this like desert climate when he does his thing. So what do we got here? Oh, did you see, dude? this is one I ran across it a couple, maybe like 2 weeks ago. Disturbing video shows court officer sexually assaulting arresting mother and the judge does nothing.
Oh yeah, that's old. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy though.
It like basically like the title says sexually assaulting. I guess he patted her down and gave her maybe some sort of bonus treatment. It wasn't like he stuck his dick in her mouth or something, but she felt
bonus treatment.
Well, hopefully not.
the bonus treatment being a little extra
Give her
pat
a little
down.
bonus treatment, you know. So, you know, she was asking for it. Get a little
No, it's
cherry
not.
on top, if you know what I mean.
Did
Not
she have to
incredibly
strip
invasive,
naked?
just a little bonus.
Do you guys want to watch this? Let's watch this. I'm curious. We've talked
Okay,
about
let's
it now.
watch it.
We've piqued interest. Oh wait, I haven't linked it to you yet. All right. So check this out. Tell me when you're ready.
I am.
3, 2,
At what
1.
time?
We're gonna start at 0.
All right.
3, 2, 1, play. All right.
Multiple employees and managers at the Clark County Family
I wanna watch
Court
this
are under
related video about
investigation
the young
for
lady with no
allegedly
pants doing the
covering
field
up a
sobriety
sexual
test.
assault by a court martial.
Yeah, that looks like a better video.
This one's not bad. You have to see the pleading
sexually
mom.
assaulted her. She later was arrested by that same
Kyle, you want to
marshal,
abandon
who has
this
since
video
been
for the
fired.
no pants?
The I-Team's Nathan Mossinger
Come on,
now
stick
shows
with it.
how an internal affairs investigation is revealing much
All right,
larger
we'll
problems
stick.
in family court.
Well, Dave, it's not just one single case. There's multiple
not
marshals
just one
involved and
single case.
allegations ranging from sexual assaults to choking a citizen in court. This investigation begins
Hang
with
in
a
there.
2011 video we've uncovered
I like
showing
this guy.
family court marshals
Wonder what
arresting
Nathan's
a woman
doing tonight.
because she claimed one of them sexually assaulted her. A warning.
I'll be
some of the
holding a
details of the
revolver in
story
his
may be
sweaty
disturbing to some.
hand
So
while
I'm
he
just gonna
cries
close the
big
case
sex.
after
Watch,
this all
watch, watch,
video.
watch.
All right, thank you. Okay.
Monica Contreras came to family court with her 2-year-old daughter. She was in court for only a few minutes on a routine divorce case. According to internal court documents reviewed by the I-Team, family court marshal Ron Fox ordered Contreras into a waiting room by herself for an unexplainable drug search. Contreras says Marshal Fox touched her buttocks, breast, and ordered her to lift up her shirt.
Bonus
A later
treatment.
internal investigation validated her claims. Contreras went right back into the same courtroom to tell hearing master Patricia Donninger her requests to have a female marshal search her were ignored.
I think I'd rather have a female in here. Anyone in here? And this was gonna take her home. I was just offended by this.
So he did, like, she was in for some routine, short little divorce thing.
Contreras pleads as Marshal James Kenyon begins to arrest her.
Or what, sir?
Hold on.
Okay, why would I be arrested? Can you please tell me?
Turn around, put your hands behind your
Can you
back.
please tell me?
Turn around, put your hands
Because of
behind your
false
back.
allegations made against the police officer, so.
What?
We looked and could find no law supporting that arrest, let alone any law allowing an alleged sexual assault victim to be arrested by the alleged assaulter.
Jimmy, I got court, I still have to do this, so arrest her, I take the kid, we're done.
Why would you do that to me?
He's taking her kid away
I'm
now.
not being involved.
After repeated attempts by
I don't
marshals
even
to
understand
get
what's
Contreras
happening
to
fully.
recant
All
her
right, we're gonna
story,
pause.
she
Ready,
breaks
set,
down.
pause.
Set, pause. All right.
So she went to
She was
court.
there for a divorce case, and then had to get searched.
All right,
Some
so
dude was looking in her purse, and then some other dude made her take her shirt off or something.
she's in there for some sort of routine divorce case. You know, it was only a few minutes in front of the judge, and then unexplainably, I don't know. That guy in the yellow shirt takes her in the back room privately, just him and her alone, and he has her like disrobe, and he does a drug check on her, and he's checking her for drugs. And I guess like during it somehow he pops out and she's like, you know, I'm really uncomfortable with this. I'd rather have a female officer do this. And it doesn't go down like that. He checks out her boobs and lifts her shirt and does some sort of drug check. I don't know what state of undress she had to get into for that. But she felt sexually assaulted. And as you know, usually guys don't do girls and girls don't do guys. So now she's coming out and saying, hey, like, what was this? You know, and I'm uncomfortable with this. And he's like, all right, either you change your story or I'm going to arrest you and take your kid away. So here we go. Ready, set, play.
Let me go. It was all lies. I don't want to do anything. It was all lies. All lies. All lies. All lies. Please stop.
We can do this the easy way, we can do this the hard way.
Marshall Fox tells Contreras the only way she can avoid jail is to step up to the microphone and recant. Contreras agrees, but does the opposite.
You asked me to lift up my shirt without a witness.
Okay.
You asked me to lift up my shirt without a witness.
For 4 minutes, Contreras pleaded to hearing master Patricia Doninger to hear her. Doninger didn't look at the alleged sexual assault victim, deciding instead to play with Contreras' daughter.
How could you do this to me?
That's
You
a
what?
pretty shitty
How
group
could
of
you what?
law upholders.
Contreras' 2-year-old daughter confronts the marshals arresting her mother.
Have them come over, please.
He said, can you please pull up your shirt without a witness? And I said, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yes, I do. Yes. If you have a female.
Contreras kisses her daughter before being sent to jail. Her young daughter sent to Child Haven. 2 months later, Contreras filed a complaint with Court-Martial Internal Affairs. Sources tell the I-Team investigators were shocked. They never heard of the alleged courthouse sexual assault from Family Court Lieutenant Steve Rushfield. After a 6-month Internal Affairs investigation, Marshal Ron Fox was fired. Nobody from Clark County told Monica Contreras that. She found out because we found her. Contreras asked that we blur her face.
I just hope I did the right thing by telling Internal Affairs. It makes me feel good because now I know that I was right.
We went to the top of Clark County Court Administration. They released a statement reading, "Court personnel are prohibited from commenting on the video because it's a personnel matter. When the actions of any district court employee are called into question, the court immediately responds by conducting a fair, thorough investigation and upon completion, taking appropriate action." Even though Marshal Fox was fired, sources tell the I-Team Clark County is widening its investigation into why this incident and a growing number of assault allegations were never reported by family court management to Internal Affairs.
Marshal Ron Fox maintains his innocence and is suing Clark County for wrongful termination. His attorney declined an on-camera interview, but in court filings claims the marshal's arrest was just because nobody in the courtroom tried to stop him. We have the entire 6-minute courtroom video. That's on our website.
It's hard to watch, especially the little girl.
Yeah. It's,
and the judge is not culpable in any way in this.
Well, she is under investigation.
Okay.
A lot of people are under investigation, so we're going to be following the story.
I guess so. All right. Thanks a lot.
I told you it was worth watching.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, that's just sad.
So it is a couple of years ago. There's kind of here. I need to know about Ron Fox, but I know what happened to her. She sued the court, and she got $200,000 for her issue.
Oh, nice. So it all worked out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure Ron Fox is fine. He's the cop that did it. Shucks, I'm looking for it. Oh, School of Physics. I'm searching. I need to be sure. He's mentioned in Above the Law. I know the judge is fine. And he won the right to sue in this thing. I'd have to look it up.
The judge was just looking away intentionally. I don't know why you would ask.
That was the worst.
When she was playing with the kid with the doll.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, at least pretend. At least pretend to be doing your job. You know there are cameras about. Like, what was she thinking? Like, oh, and there's this lady freaking out, and I'm just holding the stuffed bear with her child. Kind of just doing my own thing.
Yeah, that was crazy. What a downer, Woody.
So Ron Fox is suing for his job back and all his back pay.
Well, let's hope that he gets hit by a car instead.
That was pretty shitty. I wonder what his... See, I can almost forgive the quote-unquote sexual assault, in my head anyway. Like, I don't know why he was patting her down, if he had some suspicion, or... like, as much as I think many cops are douchebags, you know, I don't think everything they do is always just some attempt to be a dick, you know? Did he spot her, say she was hot and wanted to check out her boobs? Like, I give him a little more credit than that. But... the whole, like, he started getting defensive, and he's like, I'm going to arrest you for false allegations against an officer, and, you know, unless you come up to this mic and start telling everyone everything you just said was a lie or sign this paper, like, suddenly he's, like, he did it, right? Like, does anyone think he's innocent? Does anyone think that what she said happened didn't happen? So his knee-jerk reaction of getting her to recant her story or take her from her baby, that was ridiculous. And the judge who let it all happen, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, they should all lose their jobs. They should all be in trouble.
Yeah, seems like a bad way to handle it. And
You
it
know
just
who
makes
doesn't?
you look guilty.
You know, they always talk about the horrible things Saudi Arabia does to people, but I feel like they make sure that everybody involved gets punished one way or another. Maybe we need a little bit of Saudi Arabian justice. That one poor guy that they sentenced to 10,000 lashes, like, that's horrible. His wife is like, we don't think he's gonna survive the next round of lashings because
10,000?
10,000. It was like 100 a week for like, or it was something crazy like that. And like after like the first lashing, like he was like bedridden, and after the second one, like he's almost dead, and his wife is like, we don't think he's gonna make it through the third one. It's real, and he did something pretty menial. Like Saudi Arabia's a scary place, but I bet they would have done something awful to that judge.
Saudi Arabia are good people. They have our oil. They have the oil we need. Leave them alone. They're fantastic.
$1.72.
And they're selling it very cheap right now.
They are.
$1.72 a gallon today.
Really?
They're
I'm at
flooding the
$2.19
market.
and I'm at
What is going on with
$2.17.
that? When is this going to end? Woody, tell me. How much
Soon.
longer do we have?
Soon. Put your money in oil. You'll make a bundle. It won't last. It's artificially low. No one even like everyone in the business is like, I don't know why it sank this much. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Of course, I'm not actually doing it. Never take advice from someone who's still working. But
why don't you experiment a little? Why don't you take a little Woody fund and make a little experimental venture into oil for 6 months and then just pull it out?
I bet that would do quite well.
I bet Chiz would be happy to facilitate that for you 100%. I bet he would take like a standard like 2% broker's fee. Like he'd just handle everything and then he'd return you some money at a word. You could make that happen.
It would take a while just to give him. Well, he would need like power of attorney or something to make all my trades for me. I don't know, but
I'm sure he's got those papers drawn up already.
right. He's halfway there. He watches the show too, but yeah, oil. Basically, they're keeping supply high, and demand hasn't matched it, and the cars are getting more fuel efficient and price dropped. But I don't know why it dropped this much, and it'll go right back.
I feel like it's time for a fucking road trip. I feel like it's time to do a couple thousand miles and Woody's new truck.
You know what we should do? Why don't we rent Harleys and go somewhere? Like just rent Harleys and like drive the Appalachian Mountains up to Maine or something.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't have any motorcycle riding experience, so
you
I
grew
might...
up on ATVs. You're fine.
All the better.
With
Can't be
four
harder than like
wheels.
water rafting or
4
turtles.
wheels, never 2.
I forgot how little bicycle experience you have.
Yeah, because we don't have asphalt.
Right. Like for people who don't know, you can picture Kyle grew up in an area that had lots of grass and then like roads where cars went 50 miles an hour. It wasn't bicycle neighborhoods. Like
Not
I grew
at
up
all.
in little suburbs where there were sidewalks and mailboxes, and I guess you.
I mean, I can ride a bike. I
Right.
mean, I've ridden bikes before, but I've never ridden a motorcycle.
It wasn't like you rode a bike every day to school for 2 decades.
No,
Yeah.
no, nothing like that. And I've never ridden a motorcycle, really. And I don't
exaggerating,
think I
I guess.
should. I don't think that's a good idea, quite frankly. It sounds like a blast.
All right,
but,
picture
I
this.
Well,
Motorcycle.
then let Woody get the motorcycle and you get something else. What do you want,
sidecar.
ideally, on your
He will
trip
get
to
the
Maine?
sidecar of my motorcycle.
You have to dress up like the people in the Indiana
Put the
Jones
goggles
movie.
on and the helmet.
Absolutely not. The goggles and everything. Fuck that. You're not putting me in there like some sort of fucking cartoon villain sidekick. Like, that's absurd. I don't know what I would want. Maybe one of those 3-wheeler motorcycle things. Something like that. I don't know. I want to do something though. I want to get this summer for sure. I want to do something cool.
Lots of things.
I want to go somewhere and like, I don't know, kill some kind of an animal, or like climb go like spelunking into a cave, or like like killing a wild pig with a lance, or like jumping out of a helicopter or something like that. I want to do some of that stuff this year.
Sounds good. Yeah, we never
I've
did the
always wanted
hella
to fight a
hog
wild
hunting
boar.
thing.
I mentioned that to Kitty the other day. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, that was part of the reason I got my hunting license. We thought that might be necessary.
I want to do that very much. I really want to do it with a lance too. Like that's always been my dream, to have a spear, like a legit spear, and have dogs, and like, you know, you and the dogs find the pig and they hold him down, and then you fight him with a fucking spear.
What if we just hang you with like 50 feet of rope from the bottom of a helicopter, and you'll just swing around like an out of control pendulum trying to stab pigs as the helicopter.
I want a battle axe in that case. Then.
Like,
As he's swinging dangerously fast and close to the tree line.
He accidentally drags you across the prairie.
I've been swung under a helicopter before. That's the most fun I've ever had. That's the coolest thing I've ever done, is being swung underneath a helicopter by a rope. That's really fucking fun. It feels like flying. So yeah, I'd totally do that. I actually think I recommended that at one point, that I be like suspended from a rope, and they get me near the pig flying, and like get me like right over it, and I shoot it. Like I thought that would be pretty hardcore.
Blood splatter on your goggles.
Like, like 6 feet away, just flying, suspended like Superman style in the harness. So I'm, like that would be pretty crazy.
Can you eat them, or do they have like bugs in them even when they're alive?
You get varying reports, but here is my experience. They always told me that you couldn't because there were issues with parasites and stuff, but all you had to do is cook that out of the meat, so that seems like bullshit to me. I know you wouldn't want to handle it and butcher it because it's got some like parasites on the outside that could get on you, like ticks and stuff, and fleas and shit like that. However, I went on one pig hunting trip once, and there was this wild man. I don't remember his YouTube channel, but that was a thing he did. And long story short, he didn't sleep for like 3 days. Like while we slept, like he would go crawling out in the bush on his hands and knees under these thick briars to where the pigs slept with his Glock until he smelled them. And he'd follow the smell to where they were wallowing in the daytime. And he'd come upon them and just fucking gun down one of these little piglets with a fucking 9mm. And he drug it back out, butchered it in the backyard, and cooked it on a hubcap. He used pickle. He made a brine out of pickle juice and barbecued it right there, and then cut a hunk of it off and offered it to me.
Did you eat it?
Oh yeah, it was surreal.
Was it good? I imagine it's good.
Hubcap
smokiness. It had pickle juice. It tasted like pickle juice, but it was pork. It was like barbecue, but pickle juice tasting. It was kind of sour.
Oh,
but
that doesn't sound good.
It was tender. It was okay. It wasn't. I didn't want a plate full, but I was like, yeah, I just ate this pig you killed in the bushes over there.
With a guy like that, you don't know if pickle juice pork is a recipe or if that's the only thing he had to accompany the pork that he just shot.
That was
with
the case.
His
He told me, no, it's supposed to be vinegar, but he informed me he didn't have any vinegar, so it was pickle juice. You have to keep in mind that like it was in this old farmhouse out in the middle of Texas, 50 miles from anything, and like they didn't even have running water. They had like, it was gravity fed. There was like a windmill that had to be spinning to like send the water downhill to the shower, and then it was just a trickle. And I was like so dirty and grimy and sweaty, and I opened this cabinet up to look for shampoos to take this cold water shower with, and there were mini bottle shampoos, like a dozen of them, that looked like some of them were from the early 90s. And I was just like, nope, fuck it, nope. I'm like, I'm out. Scott, let's go. And Scott and I get in the fucking truck, leave my dad and my friend in the farmhouse. We went 50 miles down the road and got a motel room that we stayed in. I wasn't staying in that shithole with the fucking pickle juice barbecue and the creepy noises at night. Guys running around with night vision and semi-automatic 308s. It was just, I didn't need that. It was an intense weekend. And we killed a lot of pigs, but it was more of like a stalk and wait kind of thing, or ambush type situation. We just sat in lawn chairs basically at the top of a hill, and there was a feeder at the bottom of the hill, and we had these red flashlights on our guns, and pigs can't see red, so when you hit it with it, their eyes glow, but they don't see the light apparently. so they're unaware of it. So we just hit them with the fucking red lights and light them up. And I've got a PWS 308 semi-automatic rifle with a fucking nice ACOG scope on it. My cousin's got a bolt action that he's really good with. And we just fucking open up. We killed 3 or 4, like just headshots left and right. But we couldn't really get the slaughter going that you can from a helicopter. It's just a real bloodfest when you're flying around above them. It's like Nam. Like they really can't get away. Like.
Did you kill the babies too and rape the girl pigs to complete the Vietnam experience?
Scott shot a piglet right in the head with a 270 from
there you
200
go.
fucking yards away, just based on the glow of its eyes. It was pretty hardcore. It went through its ear. It was pretty crazy.
Bob Dylan would be writing songs about Scott.
Normally I was aiming for the big ones, but it's kind of one of those things where they're like considered like cockroaches there because of they're an alien species that fuck shit up in Texas agriculturally and.
There's a YouTuber I watch, One Lonely Farmer, and he's a farmer from New Jersey, and I'm sure it smells wonderful there. Anyway, I was asking him how he chooses which crops to grow where, and it was all based on deer. He's like, if the deer's really bad, it's straight up hay. If the deer's okay, then I might do corn, and if the deer's not bad at all, he does legumes, if I did that right, or soy, or whatever it was. And he's like, I shouldn't even be basing this decision on deer, but it's all about the deer. That's the only reason he chooses what to plant in each crop. And it was like, damn, deer's a big deal. And go on.
I think in New Jersey, in particular, I hear a lot. I don't know what's going on in New Jersey where they can't get rid of the deer, but like, you guys have a real problem with that. I've seen like 2 or 3 documentaries about the deer issues in New Jersey. With the overpopulation, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's not maybe they're not as hunter friendly or something, and I can see why I mean, when I think of Jersey, you probably don't, but I think of grass and trees and things that deers would like, and they sure seem to like his crops. So, but it was interesting. I was surprised that, like, I would have thought that he chose to grow stuff based on local need or what he thought was going to be hot that year, etc. But it's all about what the deer will let him have.
Okay. Well, Kitty's at SHOT Show right now. I'll send her a text and because all those helicopter hunting people are there now, like it'd be easy to get in touch with them in person and hash something out maybe.
Yeah.
I really do want to do that. It was a lot of fun the first time I did it. I liked it a lot. It was it's fun to be in the helicopter for one thing. If you've never been in a small helicopter, it's exhilarating. Like it's like a sports. It's the sports car, I suppose, of helicopters. It makes really sharp turns, and then it can hover very easily, and you can be traveling at like human walking distance 3 feet above the soybean patch, so that you can just see you could see like hog tracks if you needed to, and then all of a sudden he can gain 50 feet of altitude, have you going 45 miles an hour like nose down, and you're on the chase, and at the drop of a hat he can fly sideways, because it's a fucking helicopter, it's not a plane. He can fly sideways so that you're shooting out the door, but you're moving in this direction ahead of the pig, so the pig's running toward you, and then of course the pig's like, it tries to stop and change direction, and there's that moment where he's not moving anymore, and he's trying to like get going again, and you're just like, and you can arm yourself however you want. So like, I had an ACR with a 100 round beta magazine on it. It's a lot of fun.
So I've done all the helicopter stuff you're talking about, not while shooting hogs. And we talk about travel and stuff, and for me, it's all about the damn air sickness. Like, as you're describing this, how long is it? How long do you do this for?
So the way we were doing it, there were like 4 or 5 of us there doing it. So that we kind of took turns, and I don't know, I guess my little turn was like 20 minutes or something like that.
I could do that. Yeah. Like the last time I was in a helicopter, we did a tour around Hawaii. And
Dramamine doesn't help.
No, it doesn't do shit for me.
All right, so here's what you got to do. If we do this thing, legitimately, you got to go to a doctor and you got to ask for something for motion sickness, because
that's a good idea.
I feel like most likely we're going to be in a helicopter. If we do something like this, where like it's a video sponsored video kind of thing, because I do a video for Russia probably, and you know, some sort of PK adventure video for Kyle, and you know, I'm sure you do some videos, and we'll be talking about it a lot. So it's one of those things where like they're gonna want to see a lot of content. It might give us like 2 or 3 days of flying. Like we might be in helicopters for.
What people want to travel,
hours.
and all my travel thoughts are punctuated with like, I've gotten to the point now where I get sick on a plane maybe like 1 in 3 or 4 times, which means, by the way, if you go there and back, there's a good chance I'm vomiting on the plane.
Wait,
it
just a
sucks.
regular plane? Just a regular...
Yeah, like airliners or something. Like you take to California.
That sucks.
Oh, it's awful.
It would be entertaining, though, to see a video.
I'm often exhausted, and I think that's part of it. Flying first class, I've never been sick in first class. That might be, you know, maybe I should just cough up the bucks. I'm kind of cheap. But it's expensive first class. But
it's so worth it to get. It's just you, because oftentimes it would just be Kitty and myself flying, so I know the person I'm with. You know, we're talking the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll watch the same movie. We'll you know, we eat our meal together. It's a great experience.
Sometimes I go for it. I did, dude. One time I went for it out of, I forget why, but whatever it was. I was still working at Cisco, and we had a stopover in Texas, and I was in first class, and it just so happened that my boss also had a stopover in Texas, and we had the same flight home. And it was like a coming of age moment when he walked past me into coach. And I just sat there in first class as he went by. It was like, welcome to the new order, Atul.
Oh, that's funny. I don't mind coach if it's like a 2-hour flight or something, because it's not a big deal. It's just, you know, 2 hours is not a big deal. But I get my back starts hurting in that thing after about 3 hours. I really need to.
And the price is proportionate. You know, if you're just flying for an hour, it costs like $75 to go to first class. If you're going across the country, it costs like it costs $750 to go into first class. And it's like, you know, you get more value out of it.
It gets a little bit, somewhere between. You're right. It's $500 to $700, something like that. You get a good deal and end up in the low 6s and their high 5s pretty easily, I think. But like it is more expensive. It's almost double, but it's so worth it. I love it so much. They give you the hot towel and all the free booze you want, and the
peanuts you get in coach. They're warm cashews in first class. They're warm. You bite into them, you're like, these were heated cashews.
You get your own little bathroom that only yourself and like 15 other people are going to use.
Right.
You know, you get served first. You got
I've never flown first class before. Sounds wonderful.
There's a TV with like it's basically got cable on it, and as well as like, I don't know, 8 recently released movies on it you can watch.
The staff is better, right? Like the people that help you in coach help you like disdainfully. In first class, they love you, right? They're just like kissing your ass. And by the way, there's like 2 people for the 200 people in the back, and then there's 2 more people for the 15 up front. And the ratio is just incredible. And you know, like,
that is a thing in planes that nobody talks about, is how much you feel like you're just lower than dirt when you deal with most stewardesses or helpers, whatever they want to be called now. Just asking, like, when I get a soda, like, I don't want their cup and their ice and their napkin.
Can I help you with this?
Just give me a can of the soda. Just give it to me, one thing I can drink. And they act like you're asking to just steal their inheritance.
No.
It's like, I want a can of soda.
So I've suffered from the same problem before, because I don't want it watered down. I want a can of Coke. What you have to order is a can of Coke. If you say it like that, then they will bring you a can of Coke. But if you order a Coke or a Diet Coke or whatever, they'll bring that little fucking plastic cup out that's like 6 ounces. And
where you get your 4 ounces of soda and the shitty ice with the hole in it that melts super fast and ruins whatever beverage it's in.
And then they disappear with the good part of the soda, the part that you would prefer to have in that situation now that they've been split in 2. You'd rather have the half-full can that's delicious and syrupy than this watered-down cup that's going to freeze your hand off, and then it's just going to be a plastic cup of ice that's going to chatter to the floor and embarrass you in front of
And you have to leave it there on your little tray. So it's like, oh, thank you. You've given me a jingly little errand, a little thing to watch, to deal with now.
So
Thank you.
you absolutely have to say I'd like a can of Coke. And what I'll usually order is I'll order a double Jack and Coke, and can I get the can and mix it myself? That way I get 2 bottles of Jack Daniels and a can of Coca-Cola, and I handle that however I'd like from then on out. I could drink that Jack Daniels later that night. Sometimes it comes in handy if the bar is closed to have a couple bottles. I'll usually try to get 6 bottles during the flight and just hang on to those.
I do not drink and fly. That would just make it worse.
You think so?
I tried it one time. Now I might have screwed it up.
How'd that go?
Well, the story I heard was I knew someone who used to drink wine, and it sort of like eased him up, and it would help him go to sleep or whatever. And that was just how he relaxed, took it down a notch after work. And to me, alcohol is alcohol. So I guess or thought. And this guy offered to take me to the Admirals Club, and he had like free tickets for beer. So cool. I don't know if it was 1 beer or 2 beers, but it certainly wasn't more than 2 beers. And God, oh my, I vomited for like the next 5 hours from Denver to Philadelphia. It was terrible. It was
On 2 beers?
Yeah, it was
If
awful.
I'm gonna drink on the flight, then it's usually just 1 drink. I was talking about getting those bottles, but I keep those bottles.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm accumulating liquor. But I'm actually gonna drink on the flight, I'll get a Bloody Mary, and that's usually that usually won't upset my stomach no matter what. And I feel like because the altitude, it's amplified. It feels so like 1 Bloody Mary puts you in a real smooth situation about the time you get to 30,000 feet.
I feel like I should not risk it. Like if I had a Bloody Mary, I would just be vomiting tomato juice.
Yeah, if you're gonna encourage Woody to drink something on a plane, don't encourage him to drink the most potentially damaging drink to everyone around him.
No,
vodka
I should have a ginger ale. That's my drink.
Maybe so.
That's where I belong. It's dreadful. I don't even want to travel anymore. You know, like to some people, traveling is compensation. To me, traveling is work for which I need to be compensated, or it's not worth
You've
it.
got to go to the doctor and get something for the nausea, and then it wouldn't bother you. That sounds awful. I've never had anything. I've never been plane sick once.
And it's not my fault. It's not like, what do you need to train harder and lift some weights and handle this air sickness issue of yours? Like that, there's nothing I should be doing. Maybe coming into it more rested, but
that time we all went to Killington. I don't remember exactly the nature of the flights were ridiculous for me to get there. So I flew from Atlanta to Boston, spent a night in Boston, and then the idea was to fly from like Boston all the way to Killington, I think.
Yeah.
But and we went in this very small plane. I was the co-pilot, literally. Like I was sitting in the co-pilot seat. I was holding the flight log, and he was like, "Hold it right there," so I could see it. And I was like, "Holy shit!" Like this guy's for real. The luggage in the wings. He asked me how much I weighed before I took that seat. I was the heaviest on the flight, and like he arranged the rest of the passengers by weight. He wanted the weight up front, and the little people were in the back. We hit an ice storm flying into Killington, and it was so bad that it was like something out of the movies, the amount of shit that was coming at the windshield of this plane. We were using instruments only, and we were gaining and losing like 30 to 50 feet of altitude in as little as a second. It was like, woo, 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 woo. It was so much so that I had to take my left hand and reach under my seat and hold it and like pull up like I was riding a horse. Like I was literally like riding my seat like a fucking cowboy. And like I honestly was loving it. I was laughing. I was like hooting and hollering. Like me and the pilot were having a good time. I was like, this is crazy. I was like, does this ever happen? I was like, is this rare? He's like, this is some real shit, man. This is some real shit, man. He's like, and I hear them yelling in the back about something. I turn around, and Kitty's cousin, JJ, he looks green. I look, and apparently he has to piss so bad that he needs a bag. He's got to piss in a bag, and he needs another bag to vomit in because he's definitely going to vomit. So he's back there vomiting in one bag and pissing in another in this close quarters with these strangers. And it's just, I'm up front just laughing my ass off, having the best time ever. And he tries to come in, and the turbulence gets so bad that the wings are twerking. They're doing stuff, like they're bending and shaking, and I can see them because, like, I mean, I'm literally the co-pilot. When I look out, the wing is right there, and every time it flexes or bends or torques, I see it, and it's doing it a lot more than you would think. And the guy finally is like, nah, we can't take it down. We got to pull up. We got to go back to, like, somewhere else. Like, we circled the airport for, like, 10 minutes. We couldn't take it much longer, so he landed us, like, 3 fucking hours drive away in, like, Burlington, Vermont or some shit. We had to call a limo service to drive us to the place from there. And,
oh, that must have been horrible.
It was the worst. It was $350 limo ride. It was better than,
Was it
nice
a limo or was it a van they called a limo?
It was actually like a nice
Chuck's limo service.
It was a nice Chevy SUV, like a Tahoe.
Okay, yeah,
like
that's
not
nice.
the biggest one, but like
That trip, so the flight that you took that was all bumpy, for me it just never took off. They canceled it. So I rented that like Toyota Yaris or something and drove from Boston to Killington through the snow, and it didn't work. And I got there.
What was it? An Echo? Was that what you had? A Toyota Echo?
It might have been. I don't know my tiny Toyotas that well. It was smaller than a Corolla.
Let me do a search real quick. I think it was a
Toyota
Toyota Echo.
I'm gonna search for Yaris.
All right, so I'll give you my link.
Yeah, and I'll give you mine.
It was sort of a blizzard. Like I got no snow experience whatsoever. I had seen I think 5 inches before maybe.
It could have been either of these, right?
Yeah.
So this is an Echo.
The front of yours looks more. I think this may have been it.
I think it might have been the Yaris.
It was a very tiny shitty car, and it was like a blizzard on top of this mountain. And Woody is late. Everyone's late, actually. Epic Meal Time hasn't made it yet. Woody hasn't made it yet. And I'm the one who had to take the 3.5-hour cab ride in. So it's just like, what the fuck's happening here? And then here comes Woody in this piece of shit car up this like hill. And the tires are spinning at about 50 miles an hour. And the car is moving at about 20 miles an hour.
Dude, there were parts where you could have walked faster. I
did.
Yeah, it was so bad. It couldn't do anything. Like it couldn't even get around the parking lot at the ski lodge and stuff. It was. Yeah. It was a mess.
Decided that we raced. We raced in a circle around the lodge to try to find you some parking. And I was just as fast on foot as this car was in the ice and snow. It was unacceptable.
It was awful. I was on a plane ride as well. You know, remember I said that guy he gave me the beer tickets like at the Admirals Club. The reason why is we kind of bonded on the flight before. It was just a little thing from like Santa Barbara to LA or something like that along the coast. Tiny plane like you mentioned, and I was young. I hadn't been on a tiny plane like that before, like a super small one. So it had created the pilot was like, fasten your seatbelts, we're going to have some turbulence. And then there was a lot of turbulence. Like I remember in particular, a woman's purse had hit the ceiling during the turbulence. And things were just like bouncing all over the place, and everything, like people were like battening down the hatches and stuff. And I looked at him, having not been on small planes, and he just had this vibe about him, like he traveled 150,000 miles a year. This guy he traveled a lot. And I'm like, is this normal? And he's like, no, this is not normal. And when we landed there, like everyone had like a great relief. The 6 people are clapping, and and that was so. When we went to our stopovers and stuff, we hung out at the Admirals Club.
I don't know how many miles I've got, but I know I've got like the Delta Silver Medallion or something like that from my travels. So I've flown a lot.
Ooh.
I've
Will all the Delta Bronze, Silver, and
What's
Gold
the
Medallion
one?
passengers please come to the front for free boarding?
Yeah, I'm a Silver Medallion passenger, but the Silver Medallion passengers usually load up after the first class passengers. So
they do. Do you give a shit to the bronze members? Like you think you know? You think you know Delta?
I don't think there is a bronze.
Technically, I give shit to the bronze, silver, gold, and diamond members because I've usually got a first class ticket. Because if I'm flying, it's because I got to go somewhere far anyway, and I usually pay the extra $300.
You can suck it because I have a special needs kid. We board first. we board before first class.
Yeah.
Woody supersedes everyone.
About if you need any extra assistant wheelchairs and those who need extra, I fly with fucking Kitty. So you could double suck it. All about wheelchairs and extra assistance.
I never want to fly with you guys because I'll be boarding like 45 minutes after you. As
I don't know if Southwest still does it, but that's
all you
where
need
it
is
really
a service
matters.
dog. Now, if you really want to load up fast, here's the trick for anybody who's listening. So, there's basically all it takes to have a
I
service
know what you're about
dog,
to say, and this is douchey.
If you want a service dog, all you have to do is put a sticker on your dog that says service dog. They sell them. You put your dog in that full body harness, you Velcro service dog to the side of it. There is no certification dog for service dogs. There's no school where they're like, yes, you've made it. None of that. There's no database for them to check. On top of this, they cannot ask you what your disability is or why you were required to have this service dog. So, you could take your dog on the plane and he can sit wherever the fuck he wants. You just stick that sticker on him and you go to the front of the line. It's a real win-win.
What if your dog eats people?
I had to deal with someone like that on a flight I was on recently because they had, and it wasn't a, what was it, service animal. It didn't even have the fucking sticker on it. It just had a normal leash. And I was sitting in like that shitty little lobby area, as they're calling all of the fucks to this guy. And he's like, oh, his name's Chad. He's a emotional support dog. An emotional support dog. So this guy was basically saying, I get so terrified on planes that I need an animal with me so I don't lose my shit. Either that or I just brought this because I can and nobody's going to call me on it. Like, doesn't that bother you? Like, people, like, you're just taking advantage of it. Someone has to sit there and deal with your dog. What if your dog smells like shit? What if it sheds a lot? What if someone's allergic to it? They all have to deal with it because you're too emotionally weak to get on a fucking plane.
I sat next to one of those dogs one time, and the one that I was sitting next to was clearly like a legit one because the guy was like, I don't know, whatever the dog's name was, like, Rex, down. And Rex fucking went and got under this guy's seat. And it was like Rex wasn't there for the rest of that 4-hour flight. Rex didn't fucking move. He didn't fart. He didn't do that yawny dogs do sometimes. He didn't wag
Well,
his
that's
tail.
not what Chad, the whimpering emotional support dog, was like. Chad sounded like he needed fucking emotional support in that whole flight. It was an ordeal. It was an annoying ordeal.
Wow.
This stupid. I don't care if they need Rex to grab his pills so he doesn't expire during the flight. Just keep the fucking dogs out. I love dogs, but I'm on a plane.
But not Chad.
Not Chad, the little bitch.
What was Chad?
It was like, and it had the look of a good support dog. I think it was like a yellow lab.
Okay, yeah.
So when you see a dog like that, you assume kinda that it's gonna be okay. Not at all. Not even a little at the beginning. It was just terrible.
I've seen
We're
some shit
taxiing
on
away
planes.
from the fucking gate, and it's starting to shake under the seat. Ugh.
I've seen some real shit on airplanes, and like most Americans who fly a lot, I feel like I'm very paranoid of giving off a false, like, scary vibe. Like, I would never raise my voice on a plane for any reason, for example. Like there's so much, everybody's so nervous already around airplanes and airports, and it's just such a hot button thing with terrorism. And, I'm afraid of...
No reason to risk it.
No reason to risk it, but I've seen some crazy shit. We were flying one time from Seattle to Atlanta on a Virgin flight. Actually it was from Seattle to Boston. If you have the means, I highly recommend Virgin First Class. It's the best first class. You live in a purple and pink illuminated. It's like Tron. All the glass, everything is like clear and glass, and it's lit pink and purple. And there's like soft jazz music playing, and the TVs are like 3 inches bigger than anywhere else, and the food's better, and everybody's nicer there, and these seats are enormous, and they recline back like a bed. And Kitty's asleep next to me. I'm relaxing, watching some like Thor movie or something, and then this tiny little Korean woman appears from no man's land. You know where I'm talking about, back there where they keep them. And she just comes through the curtain, and a little bit of their dirty, unfiltered yellow fluorescent light peers into our, it's dark where we are in first class. All the shutters are closed. It's just pink and purple lights from these clear dividers between the rows. And this little Korean lady comes in there, and she like takes a few steps up, and she kind of she's looking around, she's exploring, And she comes, and Kitty's got so much room between, like, foot room, that she walks into Kitty's area, into her personal space, like between the seat in front of her and Kitty's seat. But Kitty's like reclined back, sleeping, and I'm just watching this shit wide-eyed, like frozen. Like, I'm just like, all right, if she pulls out a dagger or something, I guess I deck her. But like, otherwise I'm just frozen. I can't do anything. And the lady's like, shaking Kitty. She's like, shaking her awake, and I know Kitty's sleepy. I'm just like, can't. She's unarmed. What am I gonna do? And I'm just like watching. She's like, where? Hey. And Kitty wakes up and she said, what's going on? Who are you? And that lady's like, you'll see, very nice. How much? And Kitty's like, what are you talking about? And I'm just giggling now. She's like, how much for your seat? It's very nice. I like your seat. How much? And I couldn't figure out if she wanted to buy the seat on the spot from Kitty, or if she wanted to know for future reference how much these first-class seats cost, because she was into it.
I'm dumbfounded.
Kitty,
no, she was haggling for a seat. She was trying to buy it right there.
The stewardess
I give you 2 fresh tuna
The
fish.
stewardess has to come and put hands on this lady, and I have to explain. I'm like, I don't know. She came up here, she shook her awake, and she wanted to know how much the seat costs. I'm not sure if she wants to buy the seat or if she wants to know for future reference. And the lady's just like, what the fuck? And like turns this old lady around and walks her out. 30 minutes later, she's back trying to sneak into our bathroom. And I ratted her out, of course, like first thing. Because she's like waiting in line for like some other guy who's supposed to be shitting in there. Like, he's got some, he's allowed. And I got the steward. I was like, hey, the lady's back. She's like, oh. And you could tell, like, she didn't want her shitting in there either. She got her and, like, fucking
You should have demanded that surf be thrown overboard.
She came back a third fucking time, but this time she just kind of, like, opened the curtain and looked around in there as if to say, like, I don't need this shit anyway, and just kind of fucking left when someone spotted her. Like, it was bizarre. That's the only time I've seen that in first class. The only other cool first class story I have, when I looked like a real gentleman, I was flying with a girl from like New Orleans to like Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I had a first class seat, but she had a coach seat, and there was no one next to me in first class. It was an open seat, and I kind of kissed her, and like she had to go back to coach, and I was kind of sitting there like, this is kind of shitty as I read my book. And I asked the stewardess, I was like, hey, is there any way, since no one is sitting in the seat, that the girl that I'm with could come up and sit in this seat with me? And like 3 or 4 or 5 people hear this and they get involved because it's kind of an interesting thing. And the lady's like, no, can't do that. And I thought about it for a few seconds, and I was like, well, I think I'm just going to go back there and sit with her. And like get up and go to walk, and like everybody in first class like gives me like a clap, like I'm a real nice guy. Meanwhile, I go to the back, and it's like 3 seats wide, nobody's there. She's like, give me a handy under the blanket. I was like, I made the right decision.
Yes, good call.
The right
good call.
decision. Yeah.
And so did she. I think that's appropriate compensation for flying coach.
I thought so. I thought I was being very generous, giving up my like beautiful, nice seat.
So, crunchyroll.com/PKA. Click on the link in the description and the annotation on the side. That was Painkiller already, episode 215, unless you guys have something you need to get out.
I think that's the show.
Nope, that's the show.
Very good. I had a good time. All right. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you next week.
Oh, God. That hurt.